Okay, so I've joined the
waiting for
party as
DJ.
well. Once again, we are waiting for DJ. He is 1 minute over, right?
Always DJ.
And yeah, Rick, we
Yes.
actually were just talking about Hazrez's gone, not gone kind of thing. While we're waiting for DJ, Astro Proxim, you guys have any thoughts there? I'm thinking that as they, if it sticks the way it is now, we'll start using like installations and things like that. That's what Yamiks and I were saying when you guys came back.
For what
Pretty
PvE?
much.
For just bounty hunting, right? The question in my chat was, where are we going to bounty hunt now?
No, I'm thinking the new, not new, but the pirate
Activity beacons?
Pirate activities.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a high end one.
Yeah, but that is pretty
what
high
about
end,
low end?
right?
What about low
I don't know,
end?
supposedly the resource sites are a quote unquote bug that they should be there, but they're just not. So.
Oh, okay. So
know.
I'm guessing they're going to be maybe diminished some. It would make sense with the new mechanics, right? But at the same time, I also don't see why they have to end. Like the new mechanic doesn't mean that, we can't have resource extraction sites anymore, right? So.
Yeah, see, they're supposed, like, the sites are supposed to be there, but for some reason they're just not spawning the way they should. So we'll
I
see.
thought these were static.
Well, they were static, but it used to just generate them on entry every time. Either that, or else maybe they're changing the location of them a little bit so it spawns in more dynamically. I don't know.
That's pretty.
Regardless,
dumb.
they've said it's in the known issues that they're supposed to be there, but they're just not showing up.
Okay.
Okay. Had not seen
But even
that
if
yet.
they were coming back, I would still consider going to the pirate.
Oh, sure. But I think to Yamiks' point maybe
what
is that
about-
they're too high.
yeah,
They're
what
just
about
too
new
difficult.
players, right?
Exactly. They're just too
Or
difficult.
Yeah.
Just somebody that's not so much adepter than everyone else.
Good
How
evening.
about those people?
You're live on the
Hey,
internet.
there it is.
You're live on the internet. Please don't swear.
The interwebs.
Shit, piss, tits,
Fuck.
dick, ass, cunt, and
Every fucking
what
week.
else?
Excellent.
Bitch.
And
Right.
I was just reminding
And
my
we are
chat.
all demonetized. Wonderful.
And I was just reminding my chat that we have alerts turned off for the evening because it's the creators roundtable, so they're all muted. They won't make any noises for the evening. That's the same across all the streams because obviously we just do that to be polite. And I totally don't bring this up each week to make sure that we all remember to go click and go and do it because we all.
Yeah,
forget,
myself
let's be
too.
honest.
Hey, I remember that. I remembered this week, so it's all good.
I did
yeah.
as well, man. I actually remembered this week. I was so proud of myself.
Very nice.
Yes, pat on the back.
And everybody
Yeah,
has their
Yes.
everybody has their overlays on that has the ability for overlay today. Just a friendly reminder.
Indeed,
much.
yeah.
Yes.
Perfect,
Overlay
I think
is on.
so.
I'm actually making it a bit larger at the moment. So.
Well, guys, welcome everybody. I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of what I did last week, and just kind of keep us on topic. We have a little more open format today, in that it didn't break out into as many
I'm
kind of
kinda
sub
just
features.
ranting
I mean,
anyway, so
I'm gonna
somebody
try
just stop me.
exactly. We have a little bit of structure to keep just the total out there stuff. But we're obviously going to talk about mining. That's what I'm doing in the stream right now. I assume that's what everybody's doing. I already had a couple
I'm
comments.
trying to find something to explain.
Yeah, okay.
So
A couple
that's
people
about
on my comments already were like, "Oh my god, another mining stream!" Like, yes, unfortunately, another one. So we're gonna do mining. We're gonna also talk about squadrons. Kind of our thoughts on what we've gotten, what's obviously not working, what we look for. The new ships. If you guys, the best kept, worst kept secrets, the Mamba and the Crate Phantom. The Mamba was released yesterday. And both of them have their specs out now. Correct? They're both in Edie Shipyard beta. I believe that's...
They're apparently in Coriolis now.
Okay, gotcha. So the specs are there. I'll save that.
I wouldn't trust those specs.
Fair
at
enough.
all.
No. Fair enough. Right. And definitely take them with a grain of salt. But we're getting some ideas now. And then we'll talk about, what's coming in beta next. Maybe I made a joke about this last week. Maybe we need to figure out the best, or see if we want to do a little pool for when launch is. See what everybody's vote date for the actual launch of Chapter 4 is. I don't know, some kind of competition or giveaway,
Let's
something.
Speculate, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We should think of something. We definitely should all guess a date at the end, but because we all love speculating. I know it's Yamiks' favorite.
Oh, I love it so much because breeding hype is my thing.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great. So with that, why don't we talk? Why don't we? Unless Yamiks, do you want to just start with a rant, or should we go to mining and let your rants just kind of fill in?
So
where they would go. Or do you want to just take us into mining?
Yeah, right. So, okay, fine. I might as well do that, even though I'm the least mining person.
Well,
around,
so what I would suggest, or kind of request, though, Yamiks, maybe as we go through each feature, like the first little bit of mining, just talk a little bit about the new changes, right? Just give a little bit of back.
Quickly,
exactly.
Okay, fine. Recap.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going to do the mining. Okay, so the mining-wise recap is quite simple, right? Developers introduced 3 new weapons or tools or whatever else you want to call these things. Tools. Let's go with tools, right? With each of these new tools, you are able to extract a different or from a different size hole more materials. So imagine basically just having different size plugs in a porn set or something like that. You have the drill dildo, you have a small vibrator, and you basically have a massive power jack or something like that being inserted and what not else. So essentially that's what we're getting. New ways to extract material or kinds of materials, and whether or not they give more, it's they do give more technically, but how much more I didn't really fixate, so maybe someone else can tell. Anyways, so now technically you will have 3 new ways to mine ish, and because of that, 4 types of mining. Does that increase the yield? I'm still testing, but I already have some small conclusions. That aside, we get slightly upgraded looking, at least, asteroids. There are different shapes and better collision boxes for them, as well as the poly count is bigger, I have at least noticed. Let's see, mining-wise, what else has changed? The rings, I suppose, have the volumetric lighting. What else it's supposed to be, and that lighting is just put in there with the increase of fog, which I hate, just to showcase the fucking volumetric lighting, and I fucking hate it, but that's just me. There's the pulse scanner, the new tool that allows you to see the material density in these asteroids, as you can see, at least on my end, and probably everyone else's as well. So that literally is about it on the mining. Oh, and of course, now that you probe rings, they will reveal certain material hotspots, even though it's bugged already and it doesn't showcase the visuals, but there are still the POIs or points of interest still displayed in your selection. So I suppose that would be about it on the mining. Who wants to take the next one?
Well, no, I mean, do you want to move on and talk about each feature, Yamiks, or do you want to, now that we've kind of brought everybody up to speed very quickly?
Oh, if I'm gonna start talking about the fucking results of the mining, I'm gonna go forever.
Well, that's what I mean, but we can't, depending on what you guys want to do.
I'll jump in briefly.
But we want to stay on mining. That's what I'm getting at. I think we should, Yamiks. Yeah, let's let somebody jump in, and then feel free to rant away. Right?
I'll rant afterwards.
Yeah. Let's do that. Right? You've kind of talked about from the feature mechanics. Now maybe we'll just all go through and share our experiences, rant, whatever we feel like. And so with that, DJ, go right ahead.
One thing I will say about mining, the mechanics are great. Yeah, I really like the mechanics. I really like the way the asteroids pop. I really like the way you go about doing that. More of it, plus that's literally like 2 things, and by more of it, 2 things. A, more of them to pop, plus they're fun. 2, more monies. Make popping them worth my while.
Oh my god!
I've heard that the true irony is that you can earn more money using the old mining lasers than you can with the new tools.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's a balance issue, and balance is going to be
As we know, Frontier is very, very capable at balancing things, as we've
Well,
already
they
witnessed.
are when we tell them, particularly during betas. They've shown that before.
Well, that means
DJ, you're not making a good case. For
right.
yourself.
I mean, they're terrible at it. They do listen sometimes during beta, but sadly, they're pretty terrible at balance.
We need to make sure that they realise that as things stand, they've nailed half the equation for me. Yeah, they have made mining an enjoyable activity. It just needs to actually make it worthwhile doing. Yeah, just enjoyment isn't going to be enough in a game where progress is essentially derived by credits.
Especially considering right now that to be profitable in mining and to be able to fit all the tools, you've got to have a ship that's, fairly expensive.
Yeah. We're talking. I mean, you want. I figured out a sub 100 million build crate for it, right? And and other things would work fine too. But you definitely want. You're not doing this just in a Cobra 3. Ideally anyway, with all the shit that you need.
In Cobra 3, you much rather just go with Type 6.
Oh yeah, I mean yes, you're absolutely right. But even the Type 6, this is not as well suited to this, right?
The main problem I see with the way with mining now is that there's such a huge requirements on hardpoints now.
God damn it, you stole my thunder. Yep, that's what I was just about to say. Yep.
And most of the ships so now you suddenly have to find a trade-off. Do you want a lot of cargo holds so you can stay there for a long time, or do you want to skip a bit of the cargo holds to get a ship with more hard points so you can actually also maybe defend yourself just a little bit, so you don't have to run if an eagle comes by and begins shooting at you?
That's one of the problems I've got too.
And when I've been looking through the list of available ships right now, I always end up with the Anaconda. I'm currently gonna go out and test it a bit in my cutter because I have that fitted up for mining already. But I think I'm gonna end up having to build a mining Anaconda.
And see, for me, the Anaconda is a complete non-starter because I just hate that fucking bridge. Like, I just can't stand it. Right? Like, it is a complete. You don't
speak nasty words about the Anaconda's bridge, you bully.
Complete non-starter for me because of that view. So, like, I've been using the crate a lot just because, again, I do like the visibility of it. I would not argue that it's the best for exactly the reasons you're getting at, Astro. I think the Type 9 is probably not the right one either, is it? Because of the maneuverability that you need. Would you agree? I mean, I haven't used it yet, but I've got to think that is not the best. Best for
that's my main concern. Is what I wanted to mainly to test today. That is, how important is maneuverability going to be? Because I think it's going to be very important if you want to
absolutely.
And sure, you can fly around, you can make it work in a cutter, but if you're going to spend a lot of time just drifting around trying to point yourself in the right direction and get yourself in the right position to fire off all those new modules we got, you might be better off going with a ship that's maybe doesn't have a good of a internal loadout, but is more maneuverable and better to handle. At the very least, I think, I can't remember what my thrusters are like on my mining ship, but at the very least, those would have to be upgraded to A-rated thrusters. Let me just check it here.
Yeah, definitely.
I already have them.
Oh, definitely, right. I mean, you want, obviously.
Which isn't a negative.
No, it's not. And I mean, you would want that in a.
You're going to have to load out.
Yeah. And it's not at all, right? I think it's a slight. I mean, it depends on how you look at this, right? If we're looking at this as somewhat later gameplay, mid to late gameplay, if you think of like a more standard, call it 500 hours arc, right? I think it makes sense, right? I mean, you're not going to do this your first 50 hours, but you're not going to do this your first 50 hours probably, other than it's hot and new right now. Right. So I don't know that that's necessarily bad. It's both very high skill, which I think is great, or at least high mechanics. There's lots to do, so to speak. Right. But yeah. DJ, you nailed it on the head, which is the absolute huge problem right now is the ridiculous pay. Right. I mean, it's so laughably absurd. It's just how could anybody even remotely think this made sense? right? Because, you know, like all of us, I've done some pay testing as well, and I think I figured out it was less than like a fifth of normal mining, like on a per asteroid kind of basis. I've done that a few times. The mechanics are great, but the rewards of it are, I mean, it's very typical Frontier, right? It's,
and I believe they did say last night, didn't they, that they were looking.
They did. They knew it was coming, right?
So fair play in this case.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
be aware of it and are looking at it.
But see,
the way I see it,
which is good.
Yeah.
The way I see it,
ahead,
I don't see the new mining tools as a replacement to the old. It's going to be a supplement. So the way I see it's going to work, and that's what I'm going to try out now, is you are still going to mine with the old mining lasers, and you're still going to prospect in the way you did before, but now you're going to have your pulse wave scanner, and you're going to use that to try and sort out between the asteroids, because before it was pretty much just, well, whatever was closest, that was what you were prospecting. Now you have a chance to kind of like filter out the asteroid that might not be that interesting. And then once you're mining those asteroids anyway, with the normal mining lasers, if they happen to have some surface deposits, or if they happen to have some other deposits, then you can go and you can get those as well. I will give you an little bit extra benefit. So it's not a replacement; it's an addition.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say that, Astro, how do you mean that? Do you think that that's how we will start mining now, or do you think that's the way Frontier wants us to do this? In other words, is that how you want it to work? Do you think that's how?
No.
Right.
I was expecting it when I heard about this. I was expecting that this new system was going to be a complete replacement for the old mining list.
I guess I kind of did too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was something you would fit on an exploration ship, so you had the opportunity to go and get a little bit of materials in case you were running out doing a long exploration trip. Something like that. Like some very basic mining equipment that you could use to get started into mining, and then as you moved up, you would move over to this more complicated system that would then be more profitable.
I mean, I kind of saw it like with Thargoids, you can still hunt Thargoids, you know, with the original AX weapons that we got when they first unlocked, but now everybody uses the Guardian stuff. I almost saw it similar to that, right? That we can continue to use the existing mining stuff, but that, you know, if you're a seasoned miner, of course you're not still using the original stuff. But I hear what you're saying, that it seems like we probably are, right?
The difference being that this time we don't have to grind for 1 million.
Oh, thank God! Obviously,
yeah,
that would not have.
Oh, don't even.
Can you imagine?
Oh,
yeah, did you just say
happened? That? Holy shit! I couldn't think.
Did you say that out loud?
Oh my God. Okay, so now the thing is, for me, I was thinking, yeah, this would make just normal sense to give weapons or new tools, you know, out there for people to use. You know, normally for this sort of a game that has established that sort of thing, but then, for whatever reason, my brain just blocked out the idea of personal narrative. And now that you remind me, I'm just thinking, oh, fuck, that could have actually been a thing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
How bad that could have been.
You know, and another thing that's really starting to bug me is, and I really hope there's changes planned for it, is the pulse wave scanner itself, right? The fact that I've got to fire it so often.
It's bugged as fuck.
I
don't mind shooting.
Well, what I mind about it is just how bad it looks. I mean, it's like, this is like 8-bit Mario graphics, and I have to see it so often that I wind up constantly looking at this ugly ass, you know, this ugly ass effect that I think is a real shame.
Are we making a pretty game, or are we making an ugly shit?
Well, for the most part, I think the visual changes have been very nice.
That aesthetic.
The aesthetic we're getting now, the 1984 Nintendo.
Sort of, I really
see. I like it maybe
I'm gonna be
once,
honest,
but
I really like
I just don't like it. To me, all of a sudden, it just makes this big field of otherwise beautiful asteroids look like a big blurry damn mess. Right?
It doesn't fit. It has to be said, as much as I like it, it doesn't fit with the overall aesthetic of the game.
I mean, that's what I guess. Exactly, right? Yeah. It doesn't feel like something that would be in my actual HUD, right? I would be taking this back to the shop going, hey guys, You know, you fucked up the focus on my HUD right here is all blurry and fucked up, right? You know, because nothing else on my HUD looks. And I also, somebody on, I think it was on one of my videos or something, made a comment that, you know, why is it, or maybe even somebody here last week said it, why is it that, you know, Chapter 4 is basically, you know, Chapter 4, the mini game, right? And I don't know that that's necessarily good or bad. Maybe that's, you know, something to talk about. But there's all these new little mini games, some of which I think are decent, some of which not so much. Maybe I'm taking us off topic. Yamiks, you want to go on your asteroid rant before we move on to that level of discussion?
I can rant forever. So, anyone else has anything to say?
We'll interrupt you. I got a stopwatch on you.
Okay.
Yeah, what you got, Astro?
I think it's important that we also keep in mind that this is still doing a beta test.
Absolutely.
That could be I mean, I think most of us, at least I think that the mechanics themselves when it comes to mining are pretty great. I mean, I like them.
Yes.
But there is a balancing pass needed, especially on the frequency of the various sites, also various like deposits.
Yep. I think that what you're getting at, Astro, the good thing is the main problems, at least I have right now, are very fixable. And not difficult to fix either. It's like you just said, turn the spawn rate up. Okay, that's a variable somewhere. That shouldn't be hard to do. Turn the pay up dramatically. That's just adding like a 100 or a 200 times what it is now, right, in front of the number. That should be easy. Otherwise,
the wave scanner a longer time before you need to fire it again.
Yep.
Because when I was testing this last time, we were actually discussing on the stream. You're clicking that button so frequently that I was almost like closing down the game, writing myself a macro, and just set that to click that button every 5 seconds. So I don't have to sit and do it myself.
Yep, you're right. Like some sort of switch, like using auto hotkey or voice attack for a little macro that just keeps doing that every few seconds would be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Like night vision mode. So when you fit the pulse wave scanner, you would be able to switch just like you could switch on night vision mode, you could switch on scanner.
And it just stays on in that mode with the results of your last scan. Exactly. Absolutely, that's what it needs to be. I mean, absolutely 100%, right?
But again, these are all like things that maybe the switching it to a permanent thing is a little bit more, but most of the other things is just numbers that needs to be changed.
Exactly.
And we know that and I think maybe I would understand why they would do it. I think Frontier have a tendency when they do these kind of betas to always like lowball the numbers because they don't want to give people
an unfair high side.
Yeah. So people suddenly go into the beta and oh wow, you can make 100 million per hour mining,
right?
And then once it goes live, it's back down to 15 or 20, and then you're gonna have a riot on your hands.
Yeah,
so
and I think
that they are on purpose putting the numbers low. So I hope that they're gonna do a balancing pass.
Sure. You know, I almost wish that during that time, Astro, because I get exactly what you're saying, right? That they would rather be able to adjust, if arguably way up, right, than doing anything, all right? But I almost wish they would just make mining not pay at all then, right? So it's not even a question. It's just, mining's not paying right now. Just do it only for the fun and the mechanics of it. I think they would be better served by doing it that way, right? Versus everybody gets in and now we've sat here and bitched about it for a while when we, in a way, to your point, shouldn't. So anyway,
just completely deevaluate the.
For right now, just price. Say mining doesn't. Of course, it doesn't pay. This is beta. You're doing it for fun. You're not doing it for grind or for money or anything like that. You're only doing it for fun. Then
so for the moment,
just for the moment. Sorry if I'm not clear. Yeah, just for the moment during the beta, we're only mining for no pay, and then right before the beta goes live, or maybe the last week of it, they turn pay on and check the balance of that. Right, but at first, just leave it out. Right? I mean, this is a moot point because we're already past it. Yamiks, you wanna jump in now? And
mining.
Let let you have your
back
podium.
before. That beat that. Right. Damn it, Texidius.
Sorry, did I break your train of thought there?
Fair enough. So mining in general, obviously the changes, I guess, are interesting in some way. I don't know. Right. So the first thing that I noticed was obviously when I was mining and so on and so forth. Essentially, I had more to do. Well, obviously, because you have different styles of mining and what else. But what I found myself quite often thinking was that most of what I do is just the old mining lasers. That's all it is. If I just go from rock to rock, I really like to use the new things way more. Fissures. Okay, fine. Those would be the big explosions, and you can't have every single one of them explode because that would completely tank the whole performance of the ring as well as other things, and also wouldn't be so precious, right? So, but still, when it comes down to something like subsurface or the surface thing, if any of you remember the LaveCon, pictures or concept things that they showcased us, those really dank-looking asteroids with materials just poking out of them, if you remember. Yeah, why not have that?
That's actually a good point. Very good point.
Right. That would allow, first of all, you to determine which is a specific type of a rock, which is nice addition. Let's be honest. This is a game, right? Even though Elite tries to make the game more of a realistic, is sort of a fair. I respect that when it comes down to ships, but when it comes down to the gameplay enjoyment, the game is fucking dull. And what would change it essentially is again putting in more interesting, unique things, the gas clouds or those, the clouds, the new things that, those are a wonderful addition. And then the Guardian beacons, a nice addition, so on and so forth. Something that is out of this world in some way. Remember, the space is vast. It's wondrous. It's unique. And you never know what you will find in a way. That sort of a imagination can be let loose in a way. Of course, Elite, as I said, they try to go for a more realistic approach. When it comes to mining, putting in those rocks, why not? Why not?
Make it more video game.
Fresh enough. What I don't want to see is a fucking blur and a fucking fog in my face, obscuring every single fucking thing that I'm trying to do in the game. Right? I don't like the new lighting mostly, and or rather color scheme rather than the lighting. Lighting is okay. It hasn't really changed aside from the fact that reflections are now reflecting way more, which is actually in the cutter horrible.
I got in the disco ball of it. Yeah, I got in just to see it.
God, it looks ugly.
My buddy.
I'm in the cutter right now. So far, it looks.
Look behind you.
Whatever. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that mining could even incorporate a little bit of that wonder, right? Why not? But then there was that point that I tried to raise that whenever I normally mine, I'd like to push in the subsurface thing more often, way more often, as a matter of fact, the surface deposits as well. I'd like to do those more. If just those would be increased, then why not?
Yeah, why are the spawn rates so low?
Again, that would allow you to actually go to a ring without a mining laser and actually perform that sort of a gameplay. And in a way, that would allow smaller ships also to perhaps gather specific materials that they want quicker, rather than just doing whatever everyone else is doing.
Can I ask you a question, Yamiks?
Yes.
In your thoughts, you just said something I think was interesting. Astra kind of got to this a little bit ago. Do you think, should we have, is a mining laser, the old school mining laser, just a part of mining and should still be and always should be? I think Astra was saying...
My answer is yes.
Okay, I think Astra was saying maybe he was thinking that now no, and I definitely was thinking I wouldn't be using mining lasers anymore, but it seems that we, for real mining, quote unquote real, I guess if you're looking for the biggest yield out of an asteroid.
It's a main mining tool.
Right.
Every other new tool is less and less used because the surface one is... I think as much used as the subsurface. But
no, definitely.
The fish.
Well, I think it's the abrasion scanner is the most used. The missile.
Actually, I find quite quite a lot more subsurfaces.
Do you?
Maybe that's just the way I search, but whatever. That's
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
Just me. I haven't kept up a tally and so.
Yeah. Nor have I. Nor have I. So these are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an anecdotal evidence and should not be taken as real evidence, DJ. Right. Anyways, moving on then. The whole mining, right? So the increase of obviously the new mining would be a wonderful addition because that would allow, mining to properly change rather than slightly change here and there just for the shits and giggles, right? But my main concern, just like with few other gameplays in Elite, was the price of doing such a thing, When it comes down to it, why do we do trading? Why do we do mining in, games like Elite Dangerous, in games like fucking MMOs? RuneScape would be my personal little thing, because I did a lot of fucking mining in it, also fishing, but whatever. It's to trade shit. And you have fun when the fucking results, aka reward, aka the credits you get from selling the shit or getting the shit, are appropriately rewarding, if you will. So the main thing is, if there is no reward, what's the point? And the same, and right now the beta, well, if you're doing such a long beta, developers, why not test that shit out as well? You have the opportunity, you're stalling for time, so might as well do something productive, right? But it doesn't seem that developers are really interested in that, oddly. Maybe I'm just wrong, maybe I'm not, who knows? But realistically speaking, it just requires a fucking price to be put on the, materials that are being mined and so on and so forth. And from that, there will, okay, just to put it in simplest terms, you explode a rock, what I've been doing in the stream on my end for a little while. It's beautiful, it's interesting, it's wow. Okay, after 1,000 explosion, are you still going to be that interested? Well, most of the people will just say no, really. Again, I love combat the most in this game, and yet I'm fucking bored of just killing even the Targoids, who I still consider quite an interesting sort of a way of doing things. It's just the same fucking thing, goes, just that's it. And variety is the spice of life, as they say. And well,
see, and that's what rocks about PvP. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's fair enough, and it is interesting indeed. But when it comes down to mining, I'd say rather force a player to just go and mine one rock and quickly get the materials, or just one rock gives out a lot of materials. And then the player is able to just return and then hand in for a lot of money. So he doesn't go around searching for many rocks, meaning that that would somehow be, prolonged, that the gameplay or boredom that sets in eventually. Of course, that is one way of doing the balance on what else. I'll leave that up to developers, because obviously I'm not working for them, and if they were, or rather, if I were to then pay me first before I give you my advice, right? I'm just being that sort of a cynical cunt.
So would you say, Yamiks, for you then, the same as kind of Astro said, are you just a few variables away from thinking this is...
Oh, no! Few variables, no.
Okay, so that's...
define a few variables.
Well, we've talked about spawn rates and pay rates. I mean, those are easy variables. Those aren't like major gameplay changes that let's say for a second, I think Astro even said this, the effect on the rocks, that might be so much code and graphics and stuff. If this is what they think is great, that might be hard at this stage to change. But the spawn rates of these things are just spawn variables, right?
You are breaking up, XCGS.
Oh, my mic is?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Oh,
sorry.
Forgive me.
Yeah. Anyways,
should be fine.
Say if I were to balance mining, there are two general roads to go about doing things, right? Number one is actually three ways. So number one would be giving mining a specific bonus, which honestly I find a bad idea. The second one would be increasing flat out increased values for specific materials that are mined and what it else. Basically, again, not a bonus, but literally just increasing the price for each canister of thing that you refine. That would increase the pay, also increase the value in piracy, so both gameplays benefit in some way. And the third one would be increasing the yield, allowing players to quicker, or rather mine less rocks, or maybe mine more out of these rocks as a yield. You know, you don't need 10.
So much.
It depends.
This for me is the way forward. Just increase the number of tons or whatever, or units, or whatever you want to call that I get out of a rock. That I think is the way forward, personally.
Is everyone breaking up today, or is it me?
It's not.
I think that's at your
I
end,
think it's got to be you, buddy, because guys on my stream are saying that we're all great. So
yeah, everyone else.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay. No, that's fine.
All right, sorry, then that definitely has to be me. Well, I'll try.
We hear you just great. If it means anything,
coming through fine.
Yeah, it's just you hearing us, Yamiks. So if you want to rant away, buddy, you go right ahead.
Right, sorry. Right. But yeah, when it comes down to increased yield, so you can do either one of the things on top of that, right? Increase the yield per material fragment, you know, that you break off, gives, aka meaning, i.e. meaning that you need less fragments to make a canister, or you just simply spam out you know, material thingies.
You could even do a 3-to-1 like we have in engineering materials.
Whatever, yeah. There are so many ways to balance this stuff, and I'm not just gonna sit there to tell you exactly what you need to do, because guess what? That's developers' job.
Well, no, but I think what's good here so far, most everything we've discussed, like even this, to me, this is just this is a variable change, right? So this is something that, you know, this is not a we're stuck with it right now kind of situation, I guess is my point, right? Like these are still things that should be easy enough for them to change before this goes live, right?
I don't know.
Because so far, I like the mechanics quite a bit, right? It's just, it's all the bitching that we're talking about, right? Which I think are easy enough for them to still fix. Like if we all got in and said, oh man, this new abrasion blaster is just awful, or I mean, something like that, right? Well, I mean, at this point, we're getting the abrasion blaster, right? It is what it is. You know, the way we identify the asteroids with the pulse scan is what it is, you know, but I think for the most part, that stuff's good. I mean, I don't want to put words in everybody's mouths, but do you guys kind of get what I'm saying? Or does anybody disagree with that? Yeah, DJ, what's your thoughts?
No, to be honest, I want to sort of make sure that what you're saying is seconded, to be honest with you. The issue is entirely with payout and yield. Yeah, and one of those two things, exactly as Yamiks was saying, one of those two things needs shifting.
Yeah.
For me, it's yield. Yeah, just make them. The phrase in my chat has been used: loot pinata. Perfect,
well, yeah, I mean, I mean, if you think about like in the future, I gotta kind of think one of these asteroids would be worth trillions. I mean, you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't come here and mine. I wouldn't think 50 asteroids. You'd come here and mine one for 50 hours. Right? You know, because you'd find one high value asteroid and then, you know, your company would work on mining that for, you know, a long ass time, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So you spend more time prospecting, looking for that beautiful asteroid. And then you just
exactly. Right. And maybe it's not, you know, sit there for hours and hours, but it's
okay. Let's balance between
right.
I also don't want to be mining one rock for 50 hours.
Right. Exactly.
Yamiks quite rightly said, it is a computer game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you find the balance between that where, finding the loot pinata is it's not rare. Rare is the wrong word, right? It's not usual. Yeah, most rocks have loot pinatas.
You know, actually, I was
maybe 1 in 100 rocks, maybe one, you know, and that's actually probably too high.
Well, maybe and I was having that conversation with a friend. What do you guys? Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
When you find that balance point, and that would be the sort of thing I'd be pissing about with this beta.
Sure.
Where's the balance point for our loot pinatas? How many, you know, of every 100 rocks, how many should be a loot pinata? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Whatever. You find that golden number where finding a loot pinata doesn't take too long, but it does feel like it's an achievement when you find one. right? Because that's what they're aiming for from that loop, right? No, that's true, Yamiks.
I just exploded by ramming a.
Oh right, okay. I was about to
you
say.
exploded?
Nice.
Nice.
I was about to say, no,
Nice.
that's true. That's what they're trying to achieve, isn't it? They want you to feel an achievement when you find the loot pinata. But the problem is that because you know when you find that loot pinata at the moment that when you pop it is not worth that much. The achievement isn't there. You don't feel happy that you found one, right?
Yeah.
It's just great.
Well,
right? So you need to balance those two things. And for me, it is just that phrase is perfect. Make them loot pinatas. When I crack one of these fucking rocks, I want it to be raining money, basically, in various metally and minerally forms. Yeah.
Question to everybody.
I mean, I actually agree. It should be one of those situations when you find an asteroid, you crack it open, you should be shit. Damn, I wish I had more cargo hold.
Yes. Question for you guys. What does everybody think the appropriate average time between motherlode asteroids is? Is it 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on average? I feel like it's 5.
Depends. Well, I was going to say, it kind of depends on if the payouts are balanced. If the payout is balanced and it's worth your time to find, then maybe 15, 20 minutes. Because you don't want them to come up too often.
Okay.
You don't want to sit here and have to look around for ages. Like, I just now found my first one for today about 5 minutes ago.
And you started looking when the stream started?
It took me about a half an hour to find it.
Wow, because I've gotten like 4 or 5 in that amount of time.
Yes, well, I've been taking my time and really homing in on specific high intensity signals, but it shouldn't take necessarily.
So maybe a better question.
Average, it should be about 15 to 20.
Well,
so it's a little bit more often, but it's still enough effort to make it worth looking.
And what's it worth then? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah, I mean, what's it worth? I mean, to me, it's
10 million.
This is fun.
One motherlode asteroid by itself is worth 5 million, 10 million, a million, 100,000. DJ, what do you think?
I think that's difficult to. I wouldn't do it on credits. I do it on tonnage. Because personally, if you do it on credits...
Well, no, we boil all this down to credits. So, I mean...
Well, no. Hang on. The reason I wouldn't do that is because a gold-heavy asteroid I would expect to be worth a fuck-ton more money than an asteroid with iron-heavy. That's iron-heavy,
I mean,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, iron is a material, but never mind.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes, you're quite right. But you get
my I do kind of get what you're saying, but the best... What do you think the best is?
Hang on, let me answer the question.
Guys. One at a time.
Let me answer the question. The answer is I would do it by tonnage, and I'd want about 250 tons per asteroid. That number to me sounds about right.
Yeah, when you crack it open.
When you crack an asteroid, get about 250 tons from it. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. What does Frontier... What do these weigh? What are these big? The whole asteroid, what's the whole thing weigh?
Oh, good lord!
I mean,
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think unbelievably massive. But to GJ's point, right? 250 tons coming out of one of these, in some ways, sounds like a ridiculous amount. In the other ways, it's probably a ridiculous scratch, right?
It's really not that much. Think about it this way: the Viper 3 is by far smaller than these asteroids are on average, especially the motherlode ones, and that thing weighs 120 tons.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
But on the other side of that, you have to take
millions. Oh, I was going to say, these things are literally
millions
of pounds each.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having something weigh, 250 tons is, it's peanuts compared to the whole thing.
It is,
but it's fair enough. I mean, the whole rock is not made out of pure painite or pure gold. It is like deposit.
It's a seam within it,
exactly.
As a general rule, that most of what you're looking at is rock,
yeah, of course,
or in the ice rings, ice,
of course.
So the vast majority of what you're looking at, it's unimportant, right? And so for me, finding about 250 tons. Particularly when we're clearly not using the most efficient methodology possible, right? If you were going to strip mine an asteroid, you wouldn't be doing it the way we are.
Yeah, you'd suck
Probably
the whole
not.
thing in and just grind it down. And
That being said, strip miners, yes, please.
But that figure, for me, would be entirely one that you play with, right? If you get 250 tons out, put that in the beta, see how people feel. Does that feel about right?
Well, here's the thing, and again,
too much money. What does that do to your credits per hour?
But the funny thing is, we're so far away from that as always, right? Like, what are we getting now? Like 15 tons, right? Total.
Yeah.
And
like
when
you're lucky.
It's it's just another one of those so frustrating with Frontier on balance because it's so unbelievably woefully wrong, right? It's not just that it's a little off again, right? It's multiples, right? Like 10 times, 20 times off. Whereas, that's where it gets so frustrating. Because I think we've all basically, even I'm going to venture to say Yamiks to a degree, likes the mechanics is probably putting too much of a word in somebody's mouth, but it's not, it certainly doesn't suck. The mechanics do not. I'm enjoying them for sure.
To elaborate on the mechanics, right, so the whole subsurface thing maybe needs a bit more effects. I'd say the surface deposits definitely need to be either bigger or definitely just more in one place. So you use again the abrasion blaster. You basically just pew once.
Yeah,
that's it. You never get to enjoy using it.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
This is one of the instances where developers just simply don't fucking get it. What makes the game interesting? It's not that you manage to use, a random small little weapon once. It's the big guns that you get to use once. The whole explosion of the asteroid is the big thing that is fun to do once, right? But the small one, I mean, it's not bad. Why not? Yeah. Oh, and there's one more addition that I'll rant on a little bit later. So just carry on.
Well, so please, Astro, go right ahead, please.
I just realized that what we've been talking about right now about increasing the tonnage you get when you use these mining tools would also solve the problem we talked about at the beginning, where we feel like the new tools is more of an add-on to the existing rather than being a separate method. Because if cracking up an asteroid or digging out subsurface deposits would give you so much more tonnage, it would actually be a viable option to just skip the normal mining lasers, go with those 3 new tools, and you'd be good to go.
I completely agree. And that's, like I said, that was kind of my impression, just kind of going into it. If you ask me, well, how would you design this? Right. Well, that's, I kind of assumed to a large degree that the standard mining lasers, again, you would use those, when you're learning the game, when you can't afford anything. Right. And that's what you would use to mine with until you unlock is a bad term, but unlock in the terms of, unlock the credits for it, right? Should we move on? Because I have a question for DJ if we're going to. So I
still got one rant
go,
me, but well,
no, that's fine if you want to, right? Go right ahead if you got more to say on mining.
Right. So there's a little nitpick I have about Elite and visuals, right? So obviously we mentioned the whole pulse scanner being basically actually the visual ruining portion of the game, which is quite true as a matter of fact. The pulse laser actually, for pulse wave thingamajig actually really makes the game look like a piece of shit, and I really struggle to see shit in the first place. But let's put that aside for a second. My bigger issue with the whole mining is that it looks like, or rather the fissures, the whole asteroid explosions, the big grand thing looks like something from fucking 2008. The effects, particles, everything just feels old, dated, and garbage. Aside from one thing, and that is the fog. Fog is good. Everything else, it's just, I mean, fucking hell, it looks like a fucking 2008 at best. And remember, folks, in 2008 and 7, Crisis came out. I shit you not, if you go back and watch or play those games, you're going to see better visuals. Just saying.
Hang on, are you moaning about the visuals in Elite Dangerous?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, well, this is one where I'm just going to make sure that I can put myself on record here as, like, I completely disagree with Yamiks there.
Yeah, I'm
in
actually
every way, shape, and form.
I'm actually more. I'm probably between to some degree, but I'm definitely leaning more on the DJ and thinking lately that Elite looks pretty damn beautiful. Right? I think the new lighting to me looks great. I think the new effects of everything look great. My biggest visual complaint right now is the Nintendo 8-bit scanner effect that lingers for too long. That's
which is an aesthetic choice.
It is, and that's what I'm saying. For me, from an aesthetic, like my preferences, right? That's the thing that I think looks. I mean, to my eyes, it looks absolutely horrible. Nothing else to me looks. So far, I'm really digging everything else. I mean, I'm definitely not going to say it's the Crisis of 2018 or the prettiest game of 2018 by any stretch, right? But I think it looks pretty great, to be honest. Like,
I'm going to put this out there from a personal. From a personal perspective, I prefer the look of it to No Man's Sky.
Oh, me too.
As an example.
Oh God, yeah.
Me too. Now, I do like the art style of No Man's Sky, right? I'm definitely not a hater of it. I can see how people don't like it, right? I do. No. I know, and I like the style of No Man's Sky, but I greatly prefer the style of Elite. Right, and Yamiks, I know you're in that category, correct?
Right. Just to give the insights on game graphics and so on and so forth. Of course, I'm not expecting Elite to be a AAA level. Now, whenever we talk about Elite and graphics in general, in grand scheme of things, Elite's graphics I'd rate as below average when it comes down to the scale and sort of the money and scale it has put in the game, which is fine for the vastness of the sandbox that Elite has been built on. Obviously, the graphics kind of needs to suffer or be lower than your average wankfest game. Though when it comes down to it, even compared to Elite's normal effects, the explosion from the asteroid really feels super dated for me, and really just something that I honestly didn't. That's why it's so jarring to me. I perceive it as something that is really poorly done.
Well, and it's funny, Yamiks, I get what you're saying to a small degree. Like, part of the detonation, the first part of it to me is not great. Right. The second part, when we get the blast ring, whatever you want to call that I actually think they did a really damn good job with. I don't think the initial kind of explosion, there's something about it I actually don't like either, that I think looks a little sophomoric in a way, right? It doesn't look bad, right? But it doesn't look like what I was expecting. It doesn't look as good as I was expecting. The ring that comes out of it reminds me of, what was it in Star Wars Episode 2? The stupid seismic shocks when he was in the asteroid field.
Oh, that.
Remember
thing.
That?
Oh God.
It reminds me of those. And I also think it's cool that do you guys know it'll destroy your fighter, or at least destroys the Guardian fighters, right? You guys know that, right? If your fighter's close enough when you detonate it.
About 350 damage.
Is that what it is? Okay, because I just flew right up to one. Okay, I just flew right up to one with my crate and took a bunch of damage from it, and I've killed every ship launch fighter that I had deployed when I detonated one.
I don't know. So. I'm actually about to detonate. I think just since I last talked, I've found 3 more mother loads. So now I'm on a roll.
Okay, there you go.
But,
I slowed down.
I don't think that these are really that bad.
That bad in terms of what?
I'll pay.
Give it time. I say give it time.
In terms of the way it looks, like, I really think it probably looks better than you guys are thinking. At least maybe to me. But then again, like,
wait, clarify what you're saying, Proxim.
Visual, like visual. Whether something looks good or bad to some people is entirely subjective.
Absolutely.
So that one is kind of hard to really nail down. But I don't know. I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention to it and see what I think on this next one.
And what do you specifically, Proxim?
Mostly to do in comparison to everything else that's been shown. Of course, yes, the Guardian sparking things are just simple planes with textures on them. Sure, yeah, I recognize that. But even those are made to an extent in a better way.
Has that been found yet? Have the lightning fields been found yet?
Yeah, I think so.
I think those are the
Lagrange clouds. But it wasn't clear to me if all Lagrange clouds had the lightning in them or not.
No, not all of them.
Okay, okay. Well, so that's what I'm asking. Has anybody found the lightning yet in a Lagrange cloud?
Are those crystal things alive?
What do you mean?
They spawn these small space pods.
Right, okay, because like I asked them that and they wouldn't answer me on the day we were there. I full on just when they showed us that I was just like, are they alive? And they were like, we're gonna let you find that out on your own. So I've been wondering that ever since.
Well, they react if you get close.
I've missed something because I don't know what you guys are talking about. I haven't seen those yet.
I haven't been to them, but okay.
What's the closest?
Stuff, it looks like Thargoid poop.
Okay, you should probably say now spoilers.
Oh, well, that should be apparent, I would think.
Yeah.
Straight. No. So very nice of you, but yeah, definitely.
So if you go to some of these nebulous around, you'll be able to find these anomalies in space that basically show up as signal sources.
Okay.
And if you drop into them, they will have these. The whole site will be filled with some clouds of various color. They're not corrosive or anything. But inside them, you can have that, like, both these spiky asteroids, but also some other, like, with that kind of where the small pods are dark, look like they're grown from it or something like that. And then you would have these small pods that would be flying around, like organic pods. They kind of look like Thargoid thingies.
Okay.
And if you fly close to them, they will like fart out something and fly away from you.
Okay. Right, there are multiple
That's
types.
awesome.
So yeah. And that's my point in some ways about the whole asteroids as well, you know. This is a space game, and now we get some more colors because, well, there are things out there.
I just found a video of one of them, by the way. I love how it just says placeholder title.
Yeah. Oh God, that's also a wonderful piece. Imagine if that would be pushed on the live.
I think that's actually intentional for once, to be honest with you. I think that's...
We'll see about that.
I think that one's actually intentional to keep some of the mystery in for live.
Yeah.
Then why include them? You're spoiling the good things.
Why include them at all?
Well, because otherwise they're not being tested. The advantage of including them is that people interact with them and test them. So they can see that. They get that information.
I prefer to just keep that wonderful...
They can hide a few little bits about it. Well, if it had gone in live and it didn't work, yeah, we'd be shitting all over them for putting it in live and it not working, right?
Well, that's what you get QA team for, really, don't you?
I just detonated this rock, and I don't know. I like the way that looks.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's that first of the two explosions, though, is the one to me that's a little meh. Right.
I mean, it could, if you really wanted it to be like absolutely perfect, then yeah, I see where you're getting at. But at the same time,
these days you are able to do way better particle effects.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Come on.
I mean, look.
Even
if this was in
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's really analyze that for a moment here, because the games that have this super high quality particle effects are also the ones that render a very small, limited area.
I know. Yes.
This game has to deal with something much, much, much larger than that, with poly counts potentially, eons beyond what, say like Battlefield 1, blah, 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 blah. So there's an element of optimization there. Now, I have all the faith in the world that if they really wanted to, crank that up to absolute AAA level crisis will kill you type thing, then yeah, they could probably do it, no problem. But I don't think they're going to, because optimization issues.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to, I don't see them changing it. I certainly don't think it's that bad. I mean, there's many other things I would put on the list before that, right? Speaking of, should we move on and we can revisit mining, as...
Yeah, let's do it.
As makes sense. So the other big thing that launched this week that DJ is going to start us about with the question from me is squadrons. And so, you know, kind of like the other things, DJ, like talk about a little bit about, you know, what it is, like what, you know, what we have right now, which I'm going to set you up with is, I said this last week, I've never played a game with a guild system or, you know, a big multiplayer system like this in it. So I don't really know what I'm missing to a large degree, but I know seemingly I don't think I'm missing much because there's not anything there to do, which means that they must all be this way, right? I mean, I don't get, so again, tell us what it does, but I don't get the why. I mean, like, I don't get the why of this feature at all. I'll save my little quip for after you explain, if you remember my little quip from before we started.
So,
but yeah, tell us what it is, what it's supposed to be, and then we can all start rant on it.
Squadron seems to be the result of Frontier looking at what we as player groups do well and replicating that feature in-game rather than giving us new things. If I'm completely honest. It has some neat chat functionality stuff. Which can only be accessed when you're in game, so is less useful than Discord, which we all use. And it has shared bookmarks, which could be accomplished with an Excel.
I haven't been able to.
I don't think they work yet, right?
Right.
They're not. They're clearly not turned on.
Or you have to actually set them in the I don't know if
I
tried more.
Me too.
Have you tried as the squadron leader setting?
I am.
Have the permissions.
Yes.
Right, okay, I didn't know if that was okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm with Yamiks. I can find no way to make it work either. I think it's just,
I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, it's clearly just not turned on.
That when it works will be neat.
Yeah, and
shared bookmarks. I mean, to be honest, it could be accomplished with a shared Excel document, but it's still pretty neat.
No, but having it in game, right? Yeah. Of course.
Agreed. Yep. It gives us BGS stat tracking, which is less effective than the BGS stat tracking that most of us do already. And it gives us leaderboards that no one asked for nor wants.
Oh, no, we don't need that.
I actually, that's
leaderboards is
almost my favorite piece.
I was about to say leaderboards is arguable. Okay, so maybe saying nobody wants is an exaggeration, and I apologize for that.
Which exigent.
But some people will really enjoy them. I grant that. But
I promise they're not going to do what I would want them to really do. But I think if my version of leaderboards was implemented, they could be very cool. But
one thing is about CQC and open only, right?
What you could do with squadrons,
something like that.
What you could do with squadrons is vastly more. I will say.
I don't really know how you could do less.
I will say a couple of people in my chat are pointing out that particularly for smaller groups, it is actually fairly useful.
In what? Okay, not to be a smartass, but in what way?
Actual administration of the group. Yeah,
that is true.
It actually becomes for larger, more established groups. I'll be honest with you. At the moment, the leadership of my group are looking at it as an extra layer of administration rather than a new tool that we're looking forward to using.
Well, it's just like amazing to me that we still don't even have basic things like, okay, so I'm playing with a buddy last night who is, in my squadron. He's actually a full admin, whatever you want to call it, whatever the term is, in it. Yeah. And we're going to the same place, right? And I can't even share my jump destination with him so that he doesn't have to type it in. I mean, to me, that seems like at this point
that's more of wing function.
Oh, yeah, but okay, sure, whatever it is, but it's part of the multiplayer functionality. That why? How can we have something like squadrons that's supposed to share all this big data when we can't even do something as little and tiny and basic as share a route? Like I'm kind of hoping that shared bookmarks somehow lets us solve that. You quickly make a bookmark, right? Exactly. Something like that, right? But that seems silly to me. Again.
As well as that, the final hang on, and then I'll shut up, I promise. Sorry. The final piece of the puzzle is that you can only be in one. In a game where you only get one account per person.
Right. Which
unless
is
you go out and purchase more.
Which means we're gonna have a bunch of
MMOs,
tiny ones.
Well,
sorry. Yep, go ahead.
Traditionally in MMOs, there's one of two solutions to this particular problem. You either allow single membership, but those games, like, you're only allowed to be in one guild, essentially. Those games tend to have multiple accounts per user. If there's only one user, they tend to allow people to be in multiple guilds. You tend to have to set an active guild, which makes perfect sense, right? You know, at this point,
Guild Wars 2 example.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 is the prime example of it, right?
Indeed.
And Guild Wars 2 is, in fact, relatable to Elite in many ways, including its pricing model. And they have a perfect solution there, yeah? You're only allowed one account, cool. You're allowed to be in multiple groups, but you're only allowed to represent one at once. Awesome. No one has any issue with that. In other games, you're only allowed to be in one, but you're allowed 3 or 4 accounts. Also awesome. I have no issue with this.
EVE Online, for instance.
Yeah, the problem is that Frontier have gone, no, you're allowed to be in one, and you only get one account. So, and you know, I keep banging on this, yeah, but you use... I mean, Jesus, take any of the big institutional groups as your first example. Fuel Rats, Canon, Mobius, whatever. Yeah? Then you add in the second, their actual player group. Sovereignty, Privateers Alliance, the 51st, whatever.
Seekers of Zin.
Right, yeah. You then add in a third thing that like is, you know, a tiny group of friends where they're the people they fly with most of the time, and they got their little thing that they do together, yeah? And trust me, I know like a lot of people within my group that are in exactly that situation.
Yep.
And yeah, okay, I run or help run a larger group. Yeah, I accept that we're not a prime example. There's a lot of groups out there. There's a lot more smaller groups than there are groups of our size. They're more important in the grand scheme of things than I am. That's one of the reasons I don't care about the size cap. Yeah, for me, 500, cool, no problem. Most groups will never run into it as a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
So that's not an issue. I'm not going to bang on about that. Yeah, but for me, only being able to be in one group when so many of us, particularly because groups have been established so much longer before the guild system was put into place, right? The groups already exist, and most groups, not all, but most groups in Elite Dangerous have a policy of, yeah, go and join other groups as well. Cool. We're not going to tell you can't fly with other friends in a game about digital spaceships.
Of course.
Yeah. And now Elite is putting everyone into a position where it's choose. And it's so far from ideal, it's silly. And now I will shut up like I promised I would. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Astro's been trying to jump in for a minute. What do you got?
I don't know if I'm jumping the line here, but
no, you're...
Two points. One was also been mentioned in my chat is console. I think Squadrons, and I don't play console, don't even own a console, but I could see that if you are playing on a console, that it would be a lot more useful to have a Squadron there, because if you need Discord, well, it's on your phone or it's on. I don't know. Does Discord exist on consoles? Can they install like a Discord thingy?
Not that I know of. No, you have to do it on your phone.
Exactly, so it'd be on your phone or on a laptop next to it.
Right.
I guess then I could see it would be nice to have some in-game things that allows you to communicate within the game. That's one point. And then as a comment to what DJ said, that yes, it is a minority of the factions that are going to need, where it's going to be an issue with the 500 limit. But for those squadrons where it's going to be an issue, that is the most dedicated, I think, player in the game. Those are the huge communities that really spend a ton of time, especially the ones managing it. So I could see, yes, you do hit the minority, but the minority you hit is the most active and the most dedicated players to the game, which I think is a bit of a weird way to do it.
I think partly the reason it's not an issue is because you're only allowed to be in one squadron. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to hit that cap of 500. If anyone does, it'll either be the Fuel Rats or Cannon. They'll be the only two I can... No, Mobius Mobius is a player group. It isn't a player.
Yeah, no, I know.
For the most part.
I know.
I don't think they'll hit 500 in their squadron. They may. Yeah,
well, and I think we're going to have is
not quickly.
We're going to have what like 5,000 squadrons of like 5, right? And like 2,000 squadrons of 2, and then you'll have like 100 squadrons over 100, probably something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think as you're getting at, DJ, for me, the issues I think I could get by or not be too upset with the the can't join but one squadron if there was any reason to do it. I mean, I don't see the only feature I can see that I would potentially use is the group chat, right? Being able to shout out and to say, hey, anybody that's online right now in the squadron, heads up, or that kind of thing. That's cool from an in-game perspective, right?
The other thing is it's nice to represent your group. You're going to get a pretty vanity tag in your name that says what squadron you're
Yeah,
I mean, that's always why people join clans.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
forth, isn't it?
Right, yeah. It's really frustrating that has to be 4 characters, right? And not 3 characters like most TL.
Is a tag, but real name, again, tag is a limitation that should be in place. And it just
No, but it shouldn't. I agree with that, Yamiks, but I think it should be up to. It has to have 4, right? If it was up to 4, exactly. If it was up to 4, and I could just be L11 in my case, right? Or SDC, like what is SDC going to do, right? SDC 1 or S
1, 2, 3, 4.
We did
that's what
solve
I have.
0. We did solve 0.
Right, which is, I mean, that's what you have to do, but it's stupid, right?
It is.
Right? You should be SOV, right? I did LV11 for level 11, right? Well, all right, that worked okay, but at the same time, it just seems so arbitrary, right? None of us would do little things that way. But again, I just don't get why I care about it, right? I mean, yeah, I'm very kind of like meh about it. And I thought I would be, but I just, I think. Now, here's a question I have for you. And I wish I'd have said something like this when say, Multicrew came out, right? Do you guys think a year from now, how many updates do you think we will have gotten to Squadrons in the next year?
None.
Probably none.
Now, I'm going to actually maybe say that one place I disagree is if we get fleet carriers in the next year, obviously you would argue that's going to have to change something in Squadrons.
Well, that was original intent.
Okay, I can't of course be 100, but I don't think we're going to see fleet carriers. If they decide to pull it from a patch, that means it is way off. It's far.
Oh, I agree. I think it's 6 months.
Fleet carriers will happen if the uptake in Squadrons shows them that there's enough interest in Squadrons.
But there's nothing to. But there's no reason
because Squadrons is such a half-baked feature.
Right.
It will end up where we'll never see fleet carriers. That's my prediction, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Unfortunately,
I could sadly say. I think at this point, fleet carriers are coming. I think there's probably too much code written for that. There's too much in the community. My biggest question with fleet carriers is it going to be something that we're going to have to pay for, or is it going to be something we're just going to get, right? And I bet you we're going to have to pay for it.
Well, we'll have to pay for it in some form because it was, as I understand it, originally intended that the squadrons, were able to be formed without a carrier, and that you could that your squadron could invest in one over time if it so choose.
Right. Well, and another question.
There was a focused feedback thing as well for it. By the way.
Yeah, I almost guarantee that we're going to get it eventually once they figure out. Cause impression is that they just were having trouble getting it to behave the way they wanted. So we'll probably get it once they figure out how to make it behave. That's my guess. Because putting something like that in place where, not just that where players themselves can control something on that massive of a scale and move it to places, blah, 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 blah. That is no small task to add to something to Elite that didn't originally have something like that in the first place. So I can see where they're having some trouble with it, especially considering the number of squadrons, etc., that are likely to be in game at some point. That's a lot of things that could possibly go wrong. So getting it right the first out is going to be important. So I can appreciate them taking the time.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think for me, it all comes down to, is any of the gameplay reasons, you know, are they going to be worth it? I mean, I'm assuming everybody else has experienced the bug where you can't send, you know, you can like post something to your kind of private channel or public channel that your private channel doesn't work. Everybody's having that bug. I haven't looked it up, but I assume. Yeah.
We have it as well.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, when that comes. Somebody in my chat just said something about maybe being able to mix, like fleet carriers could house multiple squadrons. You know, would that maybe be an interesting way to do something? And I don't know. I think some sort of alliance between squadrons is probably pretty key. Would you guys agree with that?
No, you can still do. Well, you can do an official alliance, game-supported alliance.
Right.
That'd be nice, sure.
And that's what I mean. So that, you know, you see an alliance ship.
And what does that do for me?
Well, I was going to say, you see an alliance ship and it marks on your HUD in some way that you know that they're an ally, right? You know, you jump into a CG system, you see a guy sitting there in an FDL and you're in a cargo ship. You know, do you ping him and say, hey, I see that we're an ally. You want to give me an escort? Yeah, you know, maybe that kind of stuff.
So it's a purely aesthetic thing with no gameplay value.
Well, I mean, to me, the gameplay value. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for that simple one, I think remember, hey, I'm the one that doesn't play these kind of games. But
for me, if you put an alliance system in, the only reason to do so is to negate the single player, the single usage thing where you can only be in one group. And the reason you do it is that you can ally up, and that if two groups are allied, players can move freely between them without having to go through the rigmarole of the application process. Because that is what's going to kill this system. Yeah, it's the fact that, like, for us as the sovereignty, I doubt you'll ever have to wait more than 6 hours to get an application dealt with. Yeah, because there's like 1,000 of us, whatever, right? Yeah, we span the globe. There are people online at all times at an officer level, meaning that for us, dealing with applications is a piece of piss. How do you deal with that when you're a 10-player group?
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. Especially given that, and I'm assuming this is a bug too, especially when right now there's no sort of in-game notification other than you just go to the squadrons tab and look and see if there's anything there, right? You know, the notifications in general have been pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's how it is at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, well, I was going to say, if we don't have another rant, we can move on because we're a little late.
I have a rant.
You got one? Oh, all right.
Yamiks hasn't even sounded off on this yet. I want to hear.
No.
Like, this is one where I have a horrible feeling I'm actually going to agree with Yamiks for once. Which is even rarer than... How
would you not agree with me, DJ?
Well,
how would you not agree with the great and powerful one?
because, you know... Idiot in a spaceship.
He hasn't been immersed. He hasn't been immersed yet.
But yeah, DJ, I have a horrible feeling.
I play about the same way.
I know. But this is where you and I think, are going to just totally agree for once.
Okay.
Because your view on squadrons, I think, aligns a lot with what I've said.
Probably.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So
sorry.
Let's start with the wonderful taster that I also started my most other rants with when it comes to squadrons. So first things first. Those of you here, of course, able to respond and think up of a reason. Doesn't need to be a reason that you believe in, but just a reason. Why would there be a need to pay to open a squadron?
It's because the game needs a money sink? No?
That's a good point. Next.
An administrative fee. But if you're going to tell me that the administrative fee would work out at, what is it, $320 million in current currency, then...
I don't have any problem with that fee. Are you saying you do, Yamiks?
I don't. No, I don't. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. There's no purpose to it.
Why do we need it? That's my question.
Oh, just to keep from having...
to pay.
I mean, I think for me, to keep from having 100, two-man squadrons, right? It keeps you from doing it.
All right.
And the load on the back end, I don't see that as a bad thing at all, because I think the 10 million is low enough. Fair enough. You know, if it had been 100 million, Yamiks, I'm with you. That would be a bit too much. But I think 10 million, only if you're not, To me, that's not a big bad. But sorry, I'm interrupting
So
your rant and should stop.
Your point was basically you need some sort of a deterrent for people to make a squadron.
Right, for everybody to create one.
For him and his friends.
Right, exactly. Like instead of having 1,000 squadrons of 2, let's have 2 squadrons of 1,000. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another point.
Yeah.
Roxim, maybe you have one last idea.
It's just there to keep people from joining the game and then making their own squadron, basically
and undoing it and yeah.
I mean, it's just there to kind of keep things as clean.
It's
as
a spam
possible,
filter.
Discourage people from abusing it.
It's a spam filter.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like 1 million credits as it stands right now is
right.
Yeah. So. No, Yamiks, you're totally right from a lore type perspective. It makes no sense. But
no, it doesn't. No. My point really on this whole anti-spam thingamajig is I'll get to the money sink in just a bit, but. The money sink is a rather interesting argument. Now, of course, I haven't maintained a real server in my life, but I've touched databases, and probably a lot of you have at least touched Excel and all that stuff. Now,
I like to call Excel.
I don't know about you, but server space and server capabilities of putting something like a squadron on and off or just maintaining such a thing doesn't seem to be such a big daunting task. So honestly, I don't see any leg to stand on whenever somebody says that it has to be something to prevent spamming. It just feels like you're the person that says that, and not implying that you guys are, but probably are. I don't know. Who knows? Did you think that servers are still in 1980?
No. You're missing the point, Yamiks, because I do this level of server maintenance. It's not necessarily what you're thinking in terms of like one of these applications from a server perspective is both probably like lower resource intensive than you think it is and higher at the same time. It's not just as simple as, hey, add this to the database, done. There's going to be a number of background processes that are going to get kicked off to update a bunch of other background processes that we don't know. So for every person that's creating a squad, right, that's creating a exponential workload of just total bullshit, right? So I think the way they've done it to put some level of discouragement, but not such a level of discouragement that it's really any sort of issue for somebody who wants a squad. Nobody that wants a squad is going to not be able to pay the fee, right? And so I think there is a good thing from their standpoint of they've got so much data coming in right now, so much to debug, that if they can weed out and I would guess it would be a somewhat significant percentage of all requests, at least 10, if not higher, because everyone would be able to create a squad of 1, and there are a lot of solo people that play it. Now, all of a sudden, if all of those people created a squad just to see what a few screens look like that they can see on YouTube that bear no bearing on, on the game to them at all, I don't fault them at all for making that technical decision, because that's all it is. Right. So it would have been neater if maybe there was another mechanic, or if you could just trust people to not do it. But I mean, Astro, you do this kind of work too. Disagree with me if you want to, but I think that this is a smart thing for them to have done.
Yeah, I don't think it's I mean, I agree there will be a lot of stuff to manage, but it's not. I mean, this is what you would call a slowly changing dimension. I mean, this is not something that changes daily.
Right.
People don't switch squadrons daily. People don't create a new squadron daily. It's happening slowly over a longer period of time.
Right.
And I don't see it being. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward database case to store something like that.
I mean, you would think, right? Yeah. And we don't know that, I guess, is all I'm getting at, right?
Depends on how well they coded it, of course.
Well, let's make our assumptions about there or not, right? This is random, but does anybody know if the board hopping changes are in beta? Has anybody tried to grind something?
It wasn't mentioned anywhere, so.
Has anybody wanted to grind in beta yet?
I noticed that there's absolutely no change in the speed of missions being generated because it still crashes, it still slows, and so on and so forth. So I don't see an increase or decrease anywhere. So
yeah, okay, gotcha.
I don't know. Then again, I've really not touched.
Should
right?
Yeah, Yamiks, back to your rant.
Yeah. There's still plenty. I
know.
Oh, come on. Right. So I know we have about a half an hour left because okay, let's be honest. About ships, there's not much to say. So let's go on with the squadrons. So when it comes down to squadrons, well, casually dismissing, why not?
Love it.
The whole thing about
I like the Lambo.
Shut the fuck up. You internet fanboy. Fuck off. No, Mamba is bad, okay?
It's pretty.
Right, it's pretty. Right. The whole squadron thing is, I don't know. There are even lower tier games. Well, let's say financially as well, that still manage to, for anyone to open a guild, a squadron, and so on and so forth. And it just makes me wonder. Why, a company like Frontier, who touts itself on the, coding ability so fucking much, couldn't really make this stuff.
Do they do that?
They like to tout the Cobra engine.
They like to brag about the whole, the Cobra engine handles this much, or it is able to do this much, and then blah blah blah. It's just over time it accumulates, and it just is quite noticeable from time to time, especially when it comes down to more drier level of features being introduced in the game. BGS being a good example, they always talk about background simulation being so good, so fucking good. Oh my god. Anyways, that's not the point. Right. So I did mention that, not allowing any random Johnny, Bobby, and Dickie make their own group of friends, a squadron, without grinding the game. Let's say very casual players that don't really want to grind monies and one of those. It just, for me, it doesn't really feel like a smart move. You could have, again, there's literally, if the price is just there so that they have to do less.
You mean, in other words, like they're using that as a fake means to not give people to, overburden? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Pretty much.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time,
I hate to see that I'm a consumer and I'm gonna voice my opinion, and that is my opinion. So there you go. That aside, of course, the whole money sink. They might just think that everything in this game requires some sort of a price, and if that's the case, then whoever is designing this shit needs to get his head out of his ass. That's all I'm gonna say. Of course, if that's the case. If not, then, well, okay, that's a different case. Then, of course, the squadron limits, right? I did inquire about the squadron limits of 500 to, the community team, and still haven't heard back. So,
like when you say inquired, you mean like to confirm that there is a limit, or
no? Inquire why?
Okay.
And what is the technical limitation? Because just saying in a stream that it's because of technical difficulties that we are not able to provide people with infinite amount of, or seemingly infinite amount of players being added to a squadron. Yet, let's not forget that relatively speaking, infinite amount of players are able to make squadrons. And yet, not infinite amount are able to join squadrons.
Actually, I have... So I was just thinking, because I was trying to figure out why, if there's any other option we haven't explored, why they would put a limit on how many squadrons they want to have created.
I've thought about this so much. Yeah, go.
I thought the squadron tag, not the like the tag you select in your squadron, but like the ID plate you get, 4 characters. That gives you a total of less than 500,000 combinations. Obviously, not all of them is gonna be applicable. I mean, if you want something that just vaguely resembles, and you don't want the I just smashed my head into the keyboard 4 times, then then I would say realistically you can reduce that by down to 10%, being something people would probably use for their squadrons. I mean, they have to probably be
right.
I mean, people not gonna make the squadrons called like
ZZXY,
CZXQ or something like that. Some people might just do it for the lulz, but you get my point.
Yes.
And I could see maybe, I don't know if that's it, that they are afraid over time that it's going to creep, but then again, okay, I haven't thought this through, because if that was the case, why wouldn't they just increase the character set by allowing like underscore or dashes and stuff, like special characters like that? Or just increasing the size from 4 characters to, I don't know, 6 characters, and you would have, I don't know, but millions. Let me just calculate that real quick. If you increase that from 4 characters to 6 characters, you would have 308 million combinations. So more than they need.
Currently, let's see. So all the alphabet, was it 32 characters? Was it, or was it 30? Again, I don't know alphabets. So let's presume there are 44 allowed characters, or well, 42,
why do you
right?
get 44 from? They only use
42. They use also numbers, so.
Oh yeah,
actually. So that's numbers. 10 extra.
Okay, fair point. I forgot numbers.
So that's 40. Let's say there are 42 allowed characters. For 4 character limits, if you max out all of them, then that's 3 million of. Yeah, then that's 3 million possible combinations for squadrons, and 3 million squadrons in this sort of a game, I highly doubt would ever be. No. But well, hey, you never know. So let's say, there is a seemingly infinite amount of people able to create squadrons, but not a seemingly infinite amount of people are able to join these squadrons. It's fucking baffling to me, right? I just don't get it. Why? And that's why I was inquiring. Why? What's the point? Or what is the thing? Because again, if you are to write me, tell me that the way the setup, the SQL base or whatever you are using for the servers, what else, just can't handle it, or just there's something specific. Well, I would still bitch about it to a point, but at least I would know that you're lacking somewhere and you're trying to do something. But at this point, I'm just hearing nothing. And how many times do I need to actually go and poke Frontier either directly or indirectly or whatever else and try and get an answer from them, or just themselves explaining things? Because
like, what are you thinking?
Is,
right? It's very
exactly.
arbitrary.
What's the problem? Because saying, oh, it's a technical difficulty, that is a dismissive answer. I'm not taking that shit. I'm trying to be fucking, journalist here to a point, right?
Right.
I'm trying to inquire this shit. And if I am able, which I am, to present this information on my videos and, at least somewhat inform folks, I would do so. But no, there is still no information on it. Regardless, let's see, the 500, so... I come from PlanetSide, so those of you that have played PlanetSide and all that, woohoo, yes, will know that PlanetSide does support way more people in one outfit. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember what exactly was the limit of one outfit, but let's say it was somewhere around 4,000, right? It's just a small game, relatively smaller game, a PlanetSide, and it's capable of doing more than Elites, an actively developed game, a notably larger game as well. I'm just thinking, what the fuck are you guys thinking?
Now that I've been thinking about it, I don't think that the squadron limit is a technical issue.
No.
It's a business decision somewhere. Why? Yeah.
The thing is, literally, in their stream, in their official dev stream, I constantly try to get an answer on why there is a 500 player limit. And unfortunately, the people presenting at the time was one of the community managers. I forgot which one, but there was the Adam White, or the
Berkway.
The other Adam, not the Woods. Yeah, Berkway. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, and he literally responded with just saying, it's a technical difficulty, and didn't follow up on anything because It's not this department of development and wanted else, so obviously he didn't know. And yet he was presenting squadrons, and I'm just thinking, okay, conclude whatever you are concluding there yourselves. I'm not gonna say anymore. So yeah, and when it comes down to squadrons as well, the UI is buggy as fuck. Everything else is. UI is horrible.
Yeah,
mate.
it really is.
If you haven't,
I
mean, fucking hell.
What bugs in this UI apart from the messages not being sent?
Messages not being sent. That's not UI.
Well, I don't like that.
Pressing buttons doesn't work.
Well, like on the main screen, you've got up at the top, members online, pending application, total members. Why are those not buttons? Right? Why can't I go over and click on members online and click on total members? Right? Why can't I click on any of that stuff yet? Right?
And
I just set this up last night. So.
Nothing else, but fucking hell, the UI on Squadron is just horrible looking. That's the bottom line. Well, leaderboards is another thing that I don't know why it's there. It's just fucking annoying. It could have been a thing that could have been included in the game later. Sure, I understand the idea behind leaderboards, and a lot of people like that because it gives a competitive edge there. But let's focus on actually putting in the basics in. Right? That's oftentimes when it comes down to software development, I know there are definite things that need to be put in, but leaderboards as a feature should have been pushed back. And well, again, I'm questioning the lead on the project or the lead on this design, and just why? What was the point? And yeah, the allegiance, whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay, so joining multiple squadrons. Okay, yeah, this is a good point about joining multiple fucking squadrons. So, elites, realistically speaking, have been literally avoiding aggressively, at least to my sort of impression, avoiding the good practices of the industry. That's my perception of Frontier. It seems that they are just literally simply not looking at the rest of the industry when it comes, especially when it comes to this feature. Because again, what we've gotten as a squadron literally is super dated as is for the features it's been given to us. And again, as DJ said and Astro and everyone else said, well, if there is an interest, well, they might expand it. If there's no interest, then it's going to go for the way of CQC.
Well,
not
or
Dodo,
to the point,
CQC.
I would say there's been interest in multi-crew, but because it works so bad so long later,
it doesn't work out there.
Right? Nobody wants to use it. Nobody cares. It becomes a laughingstock, and I just about guarantee you that's what this is going to be. Right, you'll get into your squadron just like you got into your friend with somebody, right? You'll do it a kind of one-time thing, and I just don't see it being something that again, I think the sad thing I keep thinking about this update, there's still nothing that fundamentally changes the way that I play. Right, the mining and exploration is the closest, right? And then
I'll explain that play style a little bit later. But yeah,
well, and the thing that I said to Yamiks or to everybody before the stream, thinking about squadrons, to me, it's so incredibly bare bones. It's like something that two guys would hack together as a mod to a game in an afternoon. Like, I don't play these games, but like Elder Scrolls has huge mod support, right? Mm-hmm. Right? It sounds like two guys were like, hey, I've been trying to figure this out. Let's see if we can write this squadron mod for Elder Scrolls tonight. Okay, and a few hours later they have the basic functionality we have. You can join one, you can pledge to something, you can what else? You can post a message to everybody. I mean, right? Like, it
does feel quite hacked together, definitely. For the performance that has been given to me is amazing. The features have been absolutely lackluster. And let's not forget, there's an interesting side note of browsing squadrons. Have any of you noticed the fact that you can only see 100 squadrons? Literally, when you go to browse squadrons...
So for each tag, you can only see 100?
Yes.
Wow.
There's no button for seeing all of them.
Yeah.
So you can't see
so
all
can
PvP
I
squadrons, for
deliver-
example.
No. When you open, there's no
How that
button
is, like,
for
just
seeing
random?
every squadron without tags, without
I
tag
gotcha.
association.
I gotcha.
Can I
So
deliver the ultimate?
either A, you know the squadron's name that you want to join. B, you've been lucky enough, and the squadron also been lucky enough to set the tags right, so
Right.
it can be found.
Right.
Or you're shit out of luck.
So can
Right?
I
Yeah.
deliver the ultimate insult to squadrons? The sovereignty at the moment is debating whether or not it's actually worth it. We're
mean,
one of the largest and most
explain
active
why.
player groups because all we are seeing it as at the moment, realistically, is another level of administration.
Yeah, another place to keep track of things that doesn't buy you anything. Right?
And we already have a lot of people who do a lot of administration. You know, we're a big organization beyond just Elite Dangerous. Adding in another thing that people need to keep track of is a choice that we have to make. And, you know, this should be a no-brainer, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're an active player group in Elite Dangerous,
Yes.
and we're being given group tools. This should be a no-brainer.
Whatever you're using
Yeah,
now
at the
should be
moment-
shut off, and this should be what you use for going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet, at the moment, we're not certain it's worth it.
Well, and almost the opposite. You're almost certain it's not. Right?
Yeah.
Um, well, do we want to continue to beat Yamiks' dead horse?
Okay, my final statement on the squadron. So, as I said previously, I was playing with an outfit or a guild or what else in Planetside days, and before that time, I actually avoided guilds, clans, and what else. Of course, I came from FPS genre background, and it's typical in FPS games to really rarely join clans and so on and so forth. Normally, at least, more reclusive we are, sort of kind. But regardless, I joined an outfit, and it became the biggest thing in the game. Yes, for a while, the thing that I joined was the biggest, and I was there basically almost from the beginning. And the thing is, I met so many fucking amazing people. I literally saw gaming from a new whole perspective, finding not only just some random dudes to play with, but also someone to just hang out and then also learn from, just making connections and for a nerd and what else, it's perhaps a bit different, but yeah, again, being social, the experiences that I've gotten through, again, guilds and so on and so forth, probably a lot of you, at least those of you that have participated in guilds and what else, will pretty much know what I'm talking about. It's the amazing sort of events you go through or the things that you do together. It makes so much more memorable and worth more while to play the game. It's not to gush too much about this stuff, but I find squadrons are literally the most important thing for Elite for its longevity. If Elite really wants to go 20 years or something like that, it has to have something to connect people, even when something like Discord doesn't exist or it has changed, or even when they're just simply picking up the game for the first time and playing it. They will join a squadron suddenly, and those guys will invite the person to whatever tool they use offline to talk to each other. That's why the chat is important. That's again, squadrons to me is a feature that is literally the pinnacle of this update or the game in general for its longevity. The other part, of course, would be the refinement of the game, but whatever, and seeing that being basically butchered and being second rated and just half-handed, just half-assed, it's a fucking sad state. I hate it. I fucking hate it, and I will try to fight for it.
Well, I mean, I think you guys have heard me say before, I think Frontier's really good at like ticking boxes, right? And I think they've now ticked the box of, we've got squadrons now. Yay. Yeah. Let's now move on to something else to half-ass do and not ever really come back to. We're finally getting that repass with, exploration and mining, right? Which, obviously we're all pretty happy about. But I I think it sucks that we all pretty much agree that a year from now we're going to be having this exact same conversation, talking about what, you know, how similar it is still a year later. Right. And, you know, that we still want these features. Yeah. You've been kind of quiet, Prox. What have you got?
Well, I was going to say, we'll see. I think this isn't something, now that Squadrons is in the game, I really don't think that they're going to be able to just let it sit like they have a lot lot of things, you know, like for the last 2 or 3 years.
God, like the multi-crew, like the SRV, like,
don't overestimate them.
Yeah, there's so much.
I just don't think they're going to be able to, because they're eventually, one way or another, you know, if people are actually dissatisfied with it, they're gonna get pressured into doing something about it one way or another. Beat the dead horse,
folks. Beat the dead horse. The squeaky wheel gets the grease sometimes.
Yeah, this is one of those times I'd ask you all to beat Yamiks. I mean, beat off Yamiks. I mean, help Yamiks. I mean, Yamiks is right about beating off. I mean, wait, I'll just stop now.
Yeah, you're dragging the joke. You're already dragging the joke. Sorry. Sorry. It just doesn't work afterwards.
Should we move on to ships, Paroxysm, Yamiks?
It's about end, anyways.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say we've only got a few.
Yeah, let's talk about ships, and then we can kind of give our closing
thoughts. Okay, because there really isn't a whole lot to go over with on the ships.
No, I think there is.
I don't know, because, we've only got, okay, so to talk about ships for a moment.
Yeah, what do we know?
We've got 2 new ones coming in, the Crate Phantom and the Mamba. The Phantom, don't know a whole lot about it because they really did absolutely nothing to really show us what the thing is on stream. The Mamba, we know a little bit more because they were able to fly it for more than 30 seconds before blowing up. So
pathetic.
Pathetic.
Wait, didn't you just slam yourself into an asteroid there, Yamiks?
I did at first, yes.
Sorry.
Right now,
just pointing that out. Go ahead, Prox.
Damn it! Where did I put my mining? Oh, there it is. Right. Anyway, I don't know. Personally, I'm a little worried because people are excited for the Mamba, but I think it's gonna suck. Just from what I've seen, I just don't know that it's gonna be all that good. It looks freaking awesome, though. I'll give them that.
Looks like a speedboat to me.
It kind of does. It's got that
certainly does.
Racing. Yeah. It has that whole racing vibe to it. Someone said something earlier about it looking like the Buck Rogers thing. I actually kind of have to agree with that too.
The pressure cooker, aka the Mamba.
The Crate Phantom, though, does anyone else think the back end of that thing looks like the Millennium Falcon?
Oh, of course it does. Does anybody not think it doesn't look like it? Yeah, it looks just like it.
There really isn't. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss on what to say a whole lot about these things because there's just nothing.
We just don't know.
We just don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no real substance to that stream yesterday to really tell us a whole lot about them.
Astro, what's
the only thing that makes me think that
we have the hard point, we have the whole internal layout of the ship, and we know a little bit about the speed. We have some guesstimates on the maneuverability. I mean, we do know quite a bit. And to sum it up, and I looked into it quite extensively yesterday. The Crate Phantom is basically going to be the Crate who got a good old whack with a Nerf hammer. And the Mamba is basically going to be a Fer-de-Lance. I think they actually have the exact same internal loadouts.
Yeah.
Almost the same hardpoint loadout. I think you switch the 4 mediums for 2 large and 2 smalls instead. And then it's going to be fast in a straight line, but have less maneuverability than the Fer-de-Lance. There you go.
Well, see, here's the thing that worries me about that, though, is yesterday on stream, they said, quote unquote, engineered, yet its maximum top speed was, hitting right about 480.
That's so annoying that they would do that. That they would, it's a little engineered. Well, either tell us unengineered or tell us fully engineered numbers.
Right.
This half-enginered shit doesn't help us at all.
So I don't really know what to think.
It does. It makes this harder to deal with, right? Which is maybe why they do it. I mean, you could argue that.
But
they want to keep the mystery because that was the best kept non-secret.
Oh, I know something that interesting happened. This time, the reveal of Mamba wasn't given to a fucking PC Games End.
It's true. They got to do it themselves, didn't they?
Oh my god!
They did get to do it themselves, right?
That's a surprise.
So I'm just going to say that I fully expect the Crate Phantom to replace the Crate as my main combat ship.
Really?
Even though it has less firepower?
Why? Because it's more maneuverable, and the thing that I like most about the Crate is how.
Oh, I mean, I agree, but the Crate is
the fact that it's
pretty damn maneuverable. We'll have to see because the Crate's already pretty damn maneuverable.
Yeah, right. I'm really looking forward to see what that's able to do. Right. If it lives up to what it's supposed to be, if it's that maneuverable, yeah. I don't mind it taking a little bit longer to kill something if I'm actually enjoying doing it.
And we get and remind everybody we get these things next Tuesday, we believe, correct? That's the current schedule.
Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever
it'll be
feels like it.
Some point next
Yeah, was
week.
this is a silly question. I was offline. Was the launch this week a day late?
Yes.
It was Wednesday, not Tuesday, right?
Well,
they never said it would be
yeah.
Tuesday.
Right, saying
Fair
it's
enough.
a day late.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
If they had said,
Fair enough. But we've been assuming
it was a day later than the initial.
It was okay, or a day later than maybe assumptions would have been.
Yeah.
Yep.
It may well be that they actually they do the same thing.
Yeah. I'm not calling them
a day
out.
later again, and they're doing 8 days per section.
Sure.
Okay, I have one last thing that I want your guys' opinion on.
Sure, please.
And that is, if we look back on the last year, that I've noticed I decided to call it mediumification of the game.
You think?
Where I mean, look at the ships we've gotten this year so far, right? We got the Crusader, Challenger, and what's the other one?
Chieftain.
Chieftain. Then we got the Crate Mark II. Now we got the Mamba, and we got the Crate Phantom. That's 6 medium combat ships, adding to the 3 Federal ships, and the Furlance as well, which is also a dedicated combat ship. And you could argue the Python's multi-role ship, so I wouldn't count that. We have a lot of medium combat ships.
A lot of medium class hull tanks too. Let's remember that.
And I kind of feel like that Frontier really missed it with the ship launches. They've done a lot of good stuff in this patch, but they really missed it with the ship launch, because now we have this patch which is supposed to go in and look at exploration and mining, and here's 2 combat ships. It's almost like they are afraid that the combat crowd is getting bored, and the combat crowd needs a new ship every patch, otherwise they're gonna get bored. Because they've just been launching combat ships.
I'm with you completely.
Hang on. Are we sure that the Crate is going to be lumped in as a combat ship, as an example?
It looks
Do we
like
know what its maximum jump range when it's
jump range is gonna be
high 60s? That's an Explorer. And Jesus Christ, that's going to be that's a better fit out than the DBX or the DBS, right? Because of its internals.
Well, if we're saying engineered, you can get a DBX to 74.
No, I'm not talking about the jump
to live
range.
with.
I'm talking about the fit out.
Yes,
The biggest drawback with the DBX and DBS is it's
class
loadout,
4s.
Right?
Yep, totally.
This allows for a far greater loadout. That's a huge jump range still.
Okay,
right?
so you want a medium exploration ship with a good internal loadout? Get yourself an Asp Explorer.
But not everyone wants to fly the
Get yourself a Python.
Well, if you want to answer that, then we've already got the best at everything in game. Why should Frontier ever put a new ship in?
We don't have a dedicated ship that is dedicated to, let's say, mining. And they just did a huge mining update. Why did it not add a ship?
I mean, I get what Astro's saying.
That will depend on what happens with the meta, right? It may turn out that one ship does shine above everything.
Why do we still not have a medium class trade ship? Like a dedicated trader that's medium class, right?
Type 6?
Yeah,
Python?
6 is...
but Python's...
Python's not dedicated.
Type 6 is actually a medium.
I thought it was a small.
Is Type 6 medium?
No, it's a small. It's a small.
It's a medium.
Type 6 is a medium.
See,
Type 7 is a large.
we were talking about this the other night, and it turns out a Viper is a small. So are we sure a Type 6?
Yes, I'm
Type 6 is medium.
I was sure a Viper.
Medium pads.
I'll be honest, I was sure a Viper was a medium. I'm not going to lie. I know
Type
Type
is wrong
7
with you?
is a large. My chat's saying Type 6 is a medium.
It is a medium,
but then no, it's now
Type 6 is a
disagreeing with
medium?
it. Now
Okay, so then why don't we... Type 6 is a medium. Why don't we have a small dedicated trader. That like I mean I would like to see more like okay, but more right. Like to Astro's point, we've got enough medium class combat ships, right? If you're going to give us new ships, give us something new.
I have a small ship that is a trader. The best or biggest cargo space for a small ship.
What is it? A hauler? It's not the hauler, is it?
No, it's even worse than that. Can you guess what that is?
No, tell me.
Cobra 4.
Oh God, is it the biggest trader?
Yes,
small class.
The biggest cargo space, and that's literally the only draw for Cobra 4.
That disgusts me so much.
Yeah, me too.
How can you even perch your backside inside that ship? I'd feel ill.
Right. Anyways,
but yes, back to Astros.
Astros. Yeah, question.
So my point is, I would really like to see. I mean, they're beginning to do it with passenger ship, where you have like internal compartments that are dedicated to passenger cabins, so that it doesn't get too overpowered on other things. You could do the exact same thing with a mining ship, where you would have dedicated hardpoints that could only fit the mining equipment, the mining tools.
Yeah,
then you could have
comes with a refinery.
Overpowered. Yeah, it would have and internals that could only fit refineries and cargo holds, and maybe like limpet controllers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then you would have a ship that wouldn't be overpowered in terms of this combat capabilities because of a huge amount of hard points, because we're going to need a huge amount of hard points now for mining. We're going to need at least 5 to make this thing a semi-viable build. And that's a lot to ask for a ship with a decent cargo hold as well. So I would really love to see if they would have done something like that.
Quick note on the passenger things, though. They have done away with the passenger-specific things. The Orca and Beluga, Dolphin, those things are now just no restricted
normal
spots.
Compartments.
Oh, really?
Yes. That was
one
of
nice.
the new changes.
Which means I actually have to consider the Beluga is useful. Shit.
And it also means the Beluga and the Orca and the Dolphin. Because, like, let's be honest, from an aesthetic point of view, there are a certain subset of people that are like, yeah, they're the best looking ships in the game. Yeah, and you can understand
very
why.
Smooth
yeah.
You know, wonderful.
Not everyone will agree with you. Some people will claim that the Federal ship. I've seen it happen. Right, it's true. Some people claim the Federal ships are pretty.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to prove
they are pretty.
Attractiveness is subjective, right? Yeah, attractiveness is subjective. Yeah, my wife to me is the most beautiful woman in the world, right? No, it's vile.
Yes,
it's a tin can.
You're vile. That's it. You're
Imperial Eagle.
Vile.
Imperial Eagle all day long.
Hang on. Are we talking about the best looking ship?
Best looking ship in the game, Imperial Eagle.
Okay,
yes.
if we're going to do this very quickly, the Courier. For me,
Courier's not bad.
Oh God,
it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. The Fer-de-Lance. Oh,
it look. Yeah, no, not a fan of the aesthetic of the Fer-de-Lance. I love the look of the Courier.
See, the Courier, the back end of it's just not right.
If we're just going on aesthetics.
Yeah, exactly. The front or
there's something just not quite right about the Courier.
Hang on, if we're talking about back ends, you've got to talk about the cutter. Right.
See, I'm not a cutter fan.
Yeah, I agree.
You do. If we're talking about back ends, you have.
Yeah. See, I'm not a cutter guy in the slightest.
Or we could talk about the prettiest ship in the game. He says with the biggest Kappa face ever,
Clipper,
the Type 10.
Yeah. I might say the Clipper's the best looking large ship in my opinion.
No, it's missing. If you're comparing that, then definitely Cutter has way better proportions.
Think? Oh, not to my eyes.
Proportion-wise, it does.
No, I think the proportions are better in the Clipper.
I love the mullet of the Anaconda. That it's the Anaconda's a mullet. It's an inverse mullet. Yeah, it's all like flamboyant on top and then business underneath, right? No, it is a mullet. Flamboyant on top, business underneath. Yeah.
Well, I think we just got
It's a space mullet.
Hairstyles of 3304 by DJ.
Yeah, they don't go in and ask for a mullet anymore. They go in and ask
Since we are at the end of our time together, should we go around and wrap up?
Actually, I can quickly answer the reason why there are so many medium ships. Pure and simple, they lack imagination. The problem is that when you look at the price range within Elite Dangerous, you're gonna see huge price gaps within medium ship range, and that's why mostly medium ships you are seeing right now. But personally, I just like everyone else here, I'm just questioning why developers have chosen to actually put out fucking combat ship after combat ship. I mean, the only break in that fucking line was the goddamn crate. It is the only medium multi-role ship that was released. It literally is a Python. That all the things in it are the same, aside from one less optional internal, literally, and fighter bay. That's it. Everything else is the same. Well, few maneuverability and speed differences, but whatever, it's the same fucking thing. And then the goddamn Alliance special kids trio is just what? And what else did we got? Oh, we got the fucking Type 10. And I'm still trying to understand what was the point of putting out Type 10 aside from just that initial week of Targoidness.
The memes. They could put a spoiler on a spoiler.
Oh, exactly. Fuck off. No.
I heard you like spoilers, dog. So I get spoilers for your spoilers.
Oh, and you shouldn't talk, Paroxysm, you piece of shit. For reference, those of you that don't know, Paroxysm just gifted, well, a little while back, gifted me the double spoiler ship kit. Just so I would be forced to use it. You fucking piece of shit. I hate it already.
That's pretty great.
You're welcome.
I love it too, but goddamn it.
You should style your hair into it in real life.
Fuck off.
You should walk around with a spoiler for your spoiler in real life.
How many spoilers do you think we can put on the Mamba then if it's gonna be a racing car?
Oh man. Well, it's gonna have to have a go faster spoiler, doesn't it?
To be honest, if the ship kit of that doesn't make it vaguely look like a Formula 1 car, I will be disappointed.
Yeah, to me, it looks very like yacht, like speedboat yacht with the two, the power boat kind of thing, which I think from that aspect looks good. I'm curious to see what the cockpit's going to be like, specifically what the visibility will be like in VR. That's kind of my biggest question at the moment.
I know this is not at all what we're talking about, but I just found me an asteroid at 45% platinum. This makes me happy.
Oh, that is a good find.
I've had a few.
That's some non sequitur there.
Had a few 40% pay night, which was pretty good.
I've seen a 47% pay night in the past. That's the best I've ever found.
One yesterday that was like 60-something% pay night.
You lying?
12 tons off.
Well, mine was 65.
No,
I mean, mine was 65. I mean, no, yeah.
Oh god, is Venus measuring contest much?
Kidding. I did get my alt account.
I spent 10 hours trying to unlock Celine Jean.
Oh yeah.
And yesterday I did it with one asteroid.
You know, I did it when I did it in my alt account. I was able to unlock it with one asteroid. Right. And I don't know what the yield was. It wasn't 60%, but it was up there. Anyway, why don't we, since we are coming to a close here, just kind of run back through, kind of through our thoughts real briefly, and then what's coming next week. I will say the premise or the preview for next week is, as we said, the new ships. Is there anything else officially on the schedule?
No.
I mean, I'm sure there will be
the last week
something.
Was nothing as well.
Right.
But there will be stuff they haven't showed us.
And the other thing, as you close out, what is your prediction on when it launches? I'm going to start with my prediction is Tuesday, the 11th of December. It might be the 4th, but I'm going to go with the 11th of December. In short, not to beat the horse too much here because we've all said a lot. I think the gameplay in general is very nice changes. The balance is laughably bad. Squadron seems completely and totally dead on arrival. Other than that, if they can work out this, the pay things, the drop rates of the motherlode asteroids, so far, I continue to be happy. The exploration changes are great. So far, I think I worry that it is not enough, right? I think we've all heard the comment of, if Chapter 4 isn't, insert greatest thing here. right? I don't know that it can live up to that kind of stuff, but
it can't.
I mean, it arguably it can't. But how close can it get or not? And I think that the biggest worry that I still have is we haven't gotten to any of the negative changes. Specifically, we've mentioned a few times here board flipping and what the implications of that's going to be. I still worry that there's going to be something like that that's going to be so bad that it's going to crush it. And just a quick question, I haven't been yet. Has anybody been to the Dweller? Have they fixed it where he engineers everything yet?
No.
No, I haven't.
I don't know.
No, okay, no, you don't know. Okay.
Is that a broken thing?
Well, I mean, in every other beta, every other beta, they've unlocked the Dweller for us, and the Dweller did all blueprints, so you didn't have to go grind unlocks, and this time they didn't. They give us all the grade 5, all the materials.
They're not trying to get us.
No, I understand. I understand. But at the same time, if they're going to give us on a reset every single material,
we want to test them.
And that's the other thing too.
Well, maybe next week they will.
Right.
Be.
That's.
Yeah,
I mean, exactly. And it might
from a controlling gameplay point.
Yeah, but it still doesn't make sense to give me all of the materials just like an engineer. Give me one engineer who is a first stage, but give me one engineer who randomly does distributors at grade 5 and power plants at 3 or 4, right? And that's all you give me, and you're not going to give me somebody like Felicity. I call oversight, right, and think that it was just an oversight. So I'll go check later. But yeah, why don't we go down? I've shared my thoughts, so I'll shut up now. DJ, close us out. What are your thoughts?
Mining needs to pay more. Squadrons are useless. I like the Mambo. It looks pretty. I like pretty things. Crate Phantom, if it lives up to what I hope to, will become my main combat ship, so I'm pretty happy. Only problem is Squadrons. It's just a waste of time at the moment. It really is, and it hurts me to say it.
Yeah. Astro?
Yeah, gonna be pretty much the same thing. Mining definitely needs a boost in payout. I've been sitting here for like an hour and a half, and I think I made a grand total of 5 million credits.
Oh God, I haven't even gotten close to that. That's great. Actually.
Oh, I'm a veteran miner, remember? Anyway.
So basically 2 hours, 5 million, 2.5 million an hour. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Squadrons, I would agree. Squadrons are pretty dead on arrival. I mean, it is pretty much just allows you to put a tag on your ship so you can see that you belong to the same group. That's about it. Exploration changes, really like them. Ship launch, meh.
Yeah, good sum up. Parax?
Mining, I think it has the potential to be awesome. It needs a balance pan and payouts and, you know, just in general. Squadrons has the potential to be useful. We'll see what happens in the long run, because like its initial form right now, I think, is very much, you know, first iteration, and they're going to build on it as time goes on. Ships, I'm a little worried about the Mamba. Heat generation on it is terrible. Crate Phantom looks interesting, but I am going to reserve my final judgment on them for when I actually get my hands on them to see what they're really like.
Of course.
In my hands versus Frontiers. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Yamiks, you want to take us out with a good old final Yamiks rant?
Right, I'll try to be short as brief as I can. Right, so mining. Unlike you guys, I don't expect developers to be capable of balancing it. I will hold my rather huge pessimism or even just outright negativity towards their capabilities, and again, in the past they haven't shown to me that they are capable of doing something like that, and that there's rebalance a whole gameplay to actually be worthy in comparison to say missions that are currently the most paying gameplay in the game. So basically it has come to the worst thing that I was kind of afraid of. More fiddle fuckery around for basically less or equal pay. It's bad. That's bottom line. Squadrons. I just fuck me. And ships. And ships. I'd say the easiest thing to push out. The last week basically will have nothing. Devs seem to be dragging or stalling for time. I don't know why. And speaking of the last thing, the release date of this update might be closer to XCGS's thing, but considering that, okay, let's say developers completely fuck the pooch and decide to release on the last week or second to last week of the year of the year, basically, aside from 31st week, right? That means that the whole holiday week, that is the 24, 25 and so forth, nothing will be fixed, most likely. So that would be horrible if developers released in in any of the dates starting with 17th. And they literally just, even if they release at the 11th or 12th or, the week of the 10th December, right? If they release it, then even then they basically have very little time, if at all, to fix anything. And for the foreseeable future, for, the holiday weeks, expect the game to be actually pretty bad. Unfortunately, that's my estimate, and I would brace for shitfest. That would be my report on the weather there. Back to you,
Well, one thing somebody in my chat said, and if you guys noticed anything we forgot, chime in, is we didn't mention scenarios, as we were kind of talking about new stuff. We did forget that, right? And, the little bit I've done with scenarios that they've seemingly worked does seem cool, right? I think there's some potential there. We've got to see how, when it's not buggy, when it's actually, functional. But yeah, so if there aren't any other thoughts, did we miss anything else, guys? Anybody else think of any other?
I forgot to give a prediction, and I'm going to go for the 6th of December. Thursday,
the 6th of December. And Astro, Paroxysm, what do you guys votes?
Let me look.
I think they're going to try to push it out as close as they can to X4 on the 30th. That's very early, but I think they're going to press for something as close to that as possible.
So X4 comes out on Friday the 30th, you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're thinking as early as the 29th?
They'll try to uppercut them or whatever the saying was. Yeah,
I'm going to say December 4th, which is a Tuesday.
Yeah, okay, that's the Tuesday after X4 launches.
Correct.
Yeah, Yamiks, when did you say again?
I didn't say. That's the thing.
I'm writing all these down now.
My expectation, honestly, is I'd say the stupidest week would be the 17th week, but my prediction 13th December.
And I was saying the
11th. You said 11th.
Yeah, I was saying the 11th. Yep. Okay, so X. The 11th. You're saying the 13th?
I have the least.
We just said.
Yeah, I have the least sort of a hope for Frontier to actually.
And Astro, what did you say? I didn't get you, Astro.
Let me look at the actual calendar. Yeah. Okay, let me see. So just ending there, 1 week to fix shit. I'm guessing the 4th. Someone guessed the 4th as well, right?
Yeah, Paroxysm's got the 4th. I mean, you could split it with him.
Yeah. I'll share.
We'll split the price when we win.
Well, I was just about to say, I think what I was just thinking I would do is, I know I've got a couple of things I can give away. Maybe whoever wins, we'll give their viewers something like that,
Okay, well, fair enough.
We'll think of something.
Oh, I like
something
it. I like it.
Interesting.
I like it. We're competing as channels now.
Yeah, right. Whoever gets the closest, their channel.
Time to go and bribe Frontier.
would get something out of it.
With everything that's been going on with us all lately with this, are we going to do something when Frontier do their big yearly charity thing? Which
I have no plans.
I mean us as a round table.
Sure.
Should we do something for that?
Sure, we should.
I just need to know when it is, because from the 3rd to the 11th of December, I will be out of town.
Okay, so since we're doing
live planning, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I don't. Yeah, but my prescience tells me that you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need to worry.
All right, fair enough.
But I thought it would be nice if
that
we,
the
as the
charity thing they do
roundtable,
once a year?
yeah, they'll be doing a thing.
Would it be completely out of place to ask Frontier? Well, do you want to do a roundtable on the charity thing? I mean,
they don't allow us as influencers onto their channel. However, they tend to come on.
of course not.
And well, they used to, but things happened.
Which things? Oh my.
To be honest with you, I think it was more. I don't think any one thing. I think it was just they decided that it was probably a bit more sensible not to have random people on their official channel, which is understandable, right? And as well as that, with 3 titles now, they can easily fill 24 hours worth of content from FDev HQ, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Whereas when it first started, that wasn't the case. There was just one title.
Well, and they've got such quality game players over there too that, you know. Sorry.
Wow.
Hey, I made it this far without being very salty today.
Yeah, right. But what I was thinking is, if when they announce that date, we organise a special roundtable for that night,
Sure.
and as many of us come along as possible, and I don't know, we'll do something special and try and raise some money, because it is for a wonderful cause.
Sounds great.
Special effects are a great cause. I don't think there's anyone that's going to disagree with that.
I disagree. I just, you know.
Well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course.
You smell.
Yeah, that would be pretty shitty, because no, they are pretty great.
That's such a comeback, DJ. Yeah.
I know,
We are-
right? I'm gonna be a complete adult. You smell.
Well, whatever you say, I'm rubber.
Yamiks, thank you. I'm honoured.
Okay, so
comeback.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that's something we'll try and do, right?
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Sure, of course. I'm sure that we'd have enough, audience would be interested in that as well. So yeah, of course.
Sorry
All
to
right.
lay that on you
No,
guys, but I like doing that because it puts you all in a spot where you're like, shit, I'm live and this is public, and it's fun.
I'm good.
I got shit to do. I ain't got time for charities. Man, no,
we don't have a
everyone
date
else
for that
will
yet,
sound
do we?
better.
There you go. There you go.
That quote. Come on. Now you don't have any pressure on you, right?
I love you all.
Let's wrap this up. Thanks to everybody for listening. We'll be doing this next week. Ant had to obviously miss us today, but I'm guessing he plans to be back next week. So if, you guys know how to reach us on our respective channels. Is everybody staying around to stream a little longer?
Yes.
I am just for a
I'll be streaming a little bit
I want to
longer.
see how much credit I actually made from this 2-hour mining trip.
Yeah, okay. And somebody, by the way, somebody just said on my stream they checked the Dweller, no change. So he's only engineering his first 2, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, DJ, what were you about to say?
No, it's gone.
Okay.
I had something done.
Sorry. Okay.
It's not important.
No, that's cool. I was going to say my thanks to DJ.
Hi, thank you everyone, be amazing.
Down to Earth Astronomy.
Thanks for having me.
Paroxysm.
Hello and goodbye, everybody, and thanks for having me on.
And the great and powerful one.
Yes. Thank you, and good night. Also, enjoy your Fridays.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys. Next week.
To the beans, gentlemen. Be amazing. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
And I'm going to jump over into the level 11 Discord. Well, there's nobody there at the moment. We'll see if you guys want to come by and chat or not. I don't know if I'm going to stick around for all that long, but if you guys have questions, and sorry, for the second week, my camera is still fucked up. So, of course, I'm guessing nobody really is sorry about not getting to see my ugly ass. What's going on, Kage?
Oh, not much.
Just trying to see if anybody wanted to jump in. We just finished the round table, and so if there's people around, sometimes I do the stream after the stream. I've been doing mining. Yeah, before I go with everybody, just I'll ask chat for the folks that are still here. If you guys have done mining, what are your thoughts? Give me your one sentence.
It sucks.
Oh, I think it's awesome. What do you think sucks about it?
Well,
I mean, other than the spawn rates.
Well, yeah, other than the spawn rates, it's buggy because when you go to a planet with a ring, you can only see the hot spots from one side, not both. That's
okay. That's clearly just a bug.
Okay. So that's annoying. the targeting mechanisms, yeah, I get it's skill based, but it is just finicky right now, especially if it's a very quickly rotating asteroid.
The fast ones, yes, they do make it. We were talking about that earlier. Do you want a a really agile mining ship? Like, what is the King mining ship now? And it used to arguably be the Type 9 or the Cutter, and I don't, certainly for this new kind of mining, that's not really the case. I went with my Python
because it's more maneuverable than the larger ships.
Well, yeah, and so that's why I'm using the Crate, because it's even more maneuverable and it's got the much better cockpit. I would argue right now that for this type of mining, the Crate is the best one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Turgeon did miss. Thanks for pointing that out, Borealis. We did miss Turgeon today.
The low amount of missiles that you get.
Yeah, I found that what I'm doing is I'm bringing 2 of those missile launchers and only binding one at a time. So that I, double your ammo load, because you're right. That is pretty bad. And who you think is totally right. You want to sync with the rotation of the asteroid. But the problem with this is if it's one of the subsurface things that you have to hit with your missile, you don't have that choice, right? You have to rotate, the way the asteroid is going to rotate. So
with mining lasers, you would get on whichever end of the asteroid.
That's right.
Is the axis, and let it rotate around that axis and just shoot the end of it, and then have your collector limpets go out so they don't get destroyed by getting hit by the asteroid.
Right.
It doesn't work like that with this new system because, like you said, you have to find those subsurface deposits and try and hit it with a very small rocket and dig in.
Which, I don't mind that because so far I'm digging the mechanics, and I've gotten pretty decent now at finding the mother lode asteroids. Like I just found another one, and I'm going to blow this one up, and then unless somebody else jumps in, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Or if anybody else jumps in, we can still chat, obviously. But I think I am going to jump off here from the stream in a second. I could see why Cobra 3 would be, or Cobra 4 would be okay in this. Do they do anything to the limpets? Not that I've seen, Cineru. Somebody on chat just asked on Twitch, do they do anything with the limpets? My collectors seem to fare better than usual. Not been my experience. They haven't been worse, but I haven't read anything, and I haven't experienced anything that makes me feel like
you still have to have your prospector or something innocuous targeted, because if you have the collector targeted, it destroys itself as soon as it collects.
Yeah. If you have whatever,
which is annoying.
Well, I mean, that way you can collect a specific thing. I mean, collectors have always worked that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just kind of catching up on the chat a little bit. Thanks, Kaus, if I'm saying that right.
And the fact that you have to carry a surface scanner with you is annoying.
The wave scanner thing?
Well, no, the surface scanner, a detailed surface scanner.
Well, you don't have to. You would certainly want to. Right. But you can argue that this is new, right? That we didn't know those hotspots at all before. So now we've got a new module that's giving us new information. So I don't find that as a fail, right? My biggest complaints are all around the spawn rates, right? Like, how long it takes to find a mother lode asteroid, and then what the little amount that it actually generates when you blow it up, and then the
versus the old school method of just using a mining laser. I was mining the other day to get my 200 tons for Celine Jean.
It's 500.
Oh yeah, 500. Yeah. Sorry. And I was just, hitting an asteroid, dumped all 6 limpets out, and just alt-tabbing, watched a YouTube video while they went to town just collecting it.
Oh, sure, right. I mean, I like that this is now, I like that there's some skill-based mags. What's going on, buddy?
But it's the yields they have to work with.
Right, that's why, like I said on stream, I think they would have been better served by just turning it off completely, right? Like, it's not yielding anything cash-wise. It doesn't pay anything right now, and we're just waiting to get everybody to try just the mechanic, just fun for fun's sake, right? Get that feedback, and then figure out, okay, this needs to make, to me, you should make 10, I've got the hiccups all of a sudden, 10 million credits an hour doing this, right?
I think if they actually changed it to that each fragment gave you 3, like the materials, the raw materials, like when you pick them up, surface mining.
I think that'd be one way to handle part of it.
If each fragment gave you 3, I think that would.
Yeah, but I think we're still way away from it being 3 times off. We're 20 times away in terms of pay, right? I mean, you know, it's so far off, but
well, they could. I'm talking physical.
No,
yields,
I
like
understand what you're saying.
Goes in your cargo bay.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Like just like with materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they did each collector limpet, every time it collects 1 fragment, it actually put 3 in your bin, your refinery. I think that would help with the actual physical yields, but then they do need to increase the prices because, let's be honest, mining does not pay for shit right now.
Right, and it never has, right? And again, it's you know, we've talked to Frontier a lot about that, right? Yeah, payouts need to be buffed massively across the board. You know, like now this is some of the highest skill gameplay in the game now, right? And the fact that I can make, you know, more than 20 times this much as a bus driver doing tourist missions, you know, is
I mean, you can make more exploring. I just went out and scanned one system and made 6.5 million.
Oh yeah, I mean but that's always been the case, right? Exploration's always pretty much paid the best, so. You know, just standard non-gold rush pay. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to call this one a little short today, so that I can finally get some actual videos out, since I haven't put out a video since the beta started. I've got a couple I need to finish today. So if you guys have more questions, I'll plan to stream again next week when it launches, if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is. Look for that. As always, if you guys haven't joined a squadron yet, and are looking for one to test join, a level 11 is ours, LV11. I should have put that in at the top of the thing. Please feel free to join that one. Right? Yeah, that's the name of our in-game faction. So I just matched it to that. And anyway, thanks for stopping by, everybody. I appreciate it as always. It's always a bummer when Obsidian can't join us, but hopefully he will be back next week, as Turgeon and Scorpius, some of the guys that haven't joined in a while. So anyway, thanks everybody, and I will catch everybody next week. See you guys.